Hi everyone, please subscribe to my channel. Blood Immortal Venerable, see playlist for other chapters and novels. Join now our Telegram channel now and enjoy exclusive early access. t.me/blood_immortal_official. I do not translate the novels. Credits goes to original translator and author of the novel. I only make it as an audiobook so it would be easier to just listen while doing other things. Credits goes to the author of the novel. I convert stories to audiobook for mental health, for multitasking purpose, for accessibility and time saving. Listening to audiobook is also beneficial for people who have disability. It improves our listening skills and improve our English comprehension, vocabulary and other things. So, thank you for listening. Thank you and thank you very much for your support. Chapter 461, The Realm of Oblivion, The Hope of Mastering the Second Layer of the Art of Immortality. TL. Etude, New King's Task. Yi Tian's eyes sparkled with interest as he gazed at this new king's task. This task for the so-called new king wasn't actually fraught with any danger. Instead, it was a support program for the most recent batch of newcomers by the Supreme Hall of Humanity, also known as the First Decade Support Project. Recently, 103 princes had joined the yellow grade area of the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Naturally, the hall aimed to cultivate these princes. Otherwise, how would they face the Grand Era 100 years later? It wouldn't do to treat these princes as mere cannon fodder. Thus, the Supreme Hall of Humanity introduced the support plan. Among these, the new king's task was the first support project. It was straightforward. As long as one accepted the new king's task, they could enter a phantom world where all princes who had accepted the task could battle it out. The last prince standing would be crowned the new king of this generation of the children of the universe. In addition to numerous rewards for the new king, other princes who eliminated a prince would also receive rewards. The more princes one eliminated, the greater the rewards. The rewards for the new king's task were clearly defined, including heavenly Tao characters. However, there were still 8 years until the new king's task would begin. It was precisely because there was a significant amount of time left that Xia hadn't informed Yi Tian earlier. In any case, all the newly ascended princes would be notified. Let's accept this task first. Yi Tian had Xia help him accept the new king's task. As for becoming the new king, he was determined to succeed. With 8 years until the new king's task, Yi Tian naturally wouldn't idle away his time. Although he was making progress, so were others. He couldn't guarantee that his strength would absolutely overpower other children of the universe. He aimed to elevate his strength to the peak of the second tier of the children of the universe within this decade, ensuring his victory as the new king. However, the gap between the third and second tiers of the peak-level children of the universe was vast. The further one progressed, the more pronounced the difference between each tier became. But there was still hope. With my Saber Dao, as long as I make significant progress and if I can enhance the Chaos Body refining technique to the first major completion level, I might have a chance to step into the peak of the second-tier children of the universe. Yi Tian mused to himself. However, significant progress in the realm of the Saber Dao couldn't be achieved merely with the Saber, Heavenly Dao character. It would take a long time and require a significant opportunity. The Supreme Hall of Humanity offered many great opportunities. As long as one had the strength, points, or enough diligence, it was possible to seize these opportunities. Among the tasks given by Xia, some involved significant opportunities related to the Saber Dao. One of these tasks, once completed, would grant access to a cultivation treasure land specifically for refining and improving one's skills. freewebnovel.com. This cultivation treasure land was a Saber Dao refining land. Even if Yi Tian's realm in the Saber Dao had reached 82%, he could still rapidly improve his Saber Dao realm in this refining land. That's because it was a high-tier Saber Dao origin artifact refining land. After entering the Supreme Hall of Humanity, Yi Tian learned many secrets. Divine materials were categorized into different tiers: low-tier origin artifacts, mid-tier origin artifacts, high-tier origin artifacts, and even higher-tier origin artifacts above the high tier. For princes like Yi Tian, even a mid-tier origin artifact would be considered a true treasure. Most of the origin artifacts in the Pan-Star field were of the low tier. There were likely very few mid-tier origin artifacts. The Zishan Saber realm, for instance, was actually formed from a mid-tier origin artifact. It was evident, then, how precious a refining land made from a high-tier Saber Dao origin artifact would be. Under normal circumstances, a yellow-grade area prince like Yi Tian would have no right to enter a refining land made from a high-tier Saber Dao origin artifact. But now, by completing just one task, he could earn 3 months of refining time. This task was simple yet challenging and even came with certain risks. Collecting Netherworld Stones task. Travel to the Realm of Oblivion, a border area between the human and ghost race, and collect 10 Netherworld Stones from within. Completing the task will grant 3 months of refining time in a high-tier origin refining realm. The refining realm formed by a high-tier Saber Dao origin artifact also belonged to the high-tier origin refining realms. Thus, once Yi Tian completed this task, he could enter the high-tier Saber Dao origin refining realm for 3 months of cultivation. Upon inquiring with Xia, Yi Tian learned about the origins of the Netherworld Stones. The Netherworld Stones were produced in a special world like the Realm of Oblivion. They possessed the ability to restore the soul and even slow down the passage of life. If a large number of Netherworld Stones were used to construct a Netherworld coffin, a powerful being entering it could deceive the universe. Once in a state of slumber, their lifespan would almost cease to flow. Therefore, all races greatly needed treasures like the Netherworld Stones, as many powerful beings among the races had lifespan limits. It was common for the races to put their powerful beings with limited lifespans into slumber, only awakening them when danger was imminent. Hence, the reserve of Netherworld Stones was one of the competitive targets among the major clans. Humans had a ghost race nearby, but it was not the kind of ghost race that turned into ghosts after death as in novels. It was a genuine life race. The ghost race bore ghost patterns on their bodies, and their presence was heavily yin, with their star fields devoid of the stars, engulfed in darkness. Due to their racial traits, they called themselves the ghost race. The relationship between humans and the ghost race was quite poor, and the bordering realm of Oblivion, which produced Netherworld Stones, was often a site of contention for collecting these stones by both races. The rules of the realm of Oblivion were quite special. Beings above the god level couldn't enter it, or they would be suppressed by the world force of the entire realm of Oblivion. Therefore, both humans and the ghost race only sent emperor-level beings into the realm of Oblivion, including numerous heavenly prides and even children of the universe. This time, to compete for Netherworld Stones and as an opportunity to refine the children of the universe, this task was issued. Originally, Yi Tian was somewhat interested in this task. After thoroughly understanding the realm of Oblivion, he became even more eager. This was because the realm of Oblivion was filled with the aura of the undead, even more terrifying than the god's grave world he had encountered before. Emperor-level beings, heavenly prides, and children of the universe entering the realm of Oblivion had to wear a jade amulet to negate the erosion of the undead aura, or else they couldn't stay in the realm of Oblivion for long, not even the children of the universe. The undead aura in the realm of Oblivion could even erode the bodies of the children of the universe, making it a deadly place. However, due to the presence of Netherworld Stones, it also became a treasure land. Compared to humans, the ghost race's bodies were slightly more resistant to the undead aura, but they still required special equipment to safely navigate the realm of Oblivion. In any case, if one were to battle in the realm of Oblivion, they must protect their jade amulet. If it shattered and they failed to equip a new one in time, they would undoubtedly give their enemies an opportunity to land a crippling blow, leading to their demise. What excited Yi Tian was that the realm of Oblivion was undoubtedly the best place to refine the second layer of the art of immortality. The art of immortality was one of the most heaven-defying secret techniques Yi Tian had ever encountered. He had not come across such techniques even in the inheritance treasure halls of the yellow grade area in the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Of course, the higher-ups of humanity might know about it but would not spread such techniques. Otherwise, with everyone tempted by it, countless children of the universe would die trying to master it. Yi Tian possessed top-tier necrotic talents and multiple recovery-type talents, allowing him to cultivate the art of immortality. Others attempting to forcibly cultivate it would undoubtedly die. Now that I am a child of the universe, my physical body is countless times stronger than before. Moreover, I have cultivated the chaos body refining technique, which seems to be able to refine various kinds of exotic energies, as all things return to chaos. Even if I can't withstand the refinement of the art of immortality, I can use the chaos body refining technique to hold on. Yi Tian felt hopeful about mastering the second layer of the art of immortality. The key point was that the second layer of the art of immortality was too tempting, offering an increase of 100,000 years in lifespan. Furthermore, each breakthrough in realm would add another 100,000 years to one's lifespan. Many princes in the Supreme Hall of Humanity had ways to increase their lifespan, but even then, it was unlikely they could achieve a 100,000-year increase at the Emperor level. I often use time talents. If my time talents reach the mystic level in the future, and I continuously use time acceleration, the speed of lifespan consumption would be too fast. With over 100,000 years of lifespan, I wouldn't have to worry at all. This was what Yi Tian thought. For the art of immortality and the high-tier Saber Dao origin refining realm, Yi Tian didn't hesitate to accept the task of collecting netherworld stones in the realm of oblivion. Chapter 462, Entering the Realm of Oblivion. TL. Etude. After Yi Tian had accepted the mission to collect netherworld stones in the realm of oblivion, a phantom spirit delivered 3 jade amulets to his hands. These jade amulets were treasures capable of neutralizing the necrotic aura of the realm of oblivion. Any prince who took on the mission to collect netherworld stones in the realm of oblivion would receive 3 amulets. This was to prevent accidents. If one of the amulets were to break, a new one could be replaced to ensure safety. The Supreme Hall of Humanity did not wish for any prince to fall, naturally striving to preserve the life of a prince at all costs. With the amulets in hand, Yi Tian summoned his steward, Zia. Zia arrived shortly after. Zia, I'm leaving the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Take me out of the yellow region. Yi Tian instructed. Master, are you going out? Zia was quite surprised. It hadn't been long since Yi Tian arrived at the yellow region of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, and now he was leaving. Although the Supreme Hall of Humanity did not restrict the movements of princes, many of them would stay within the Supreme Hall of Humanity for at least a decade before leaving, and some would even stay for hundreds of years. This was because the cultivation of treasure lands within the Supreme Hall of Humanity itself were sufficient for these princes to cultivate and ponder for many years, with no need to seek opportunities or undertake missions in the outside world. Princes who frequently left the Supreme Hall of Humanity were generally those who had been there for a long time. Yes, I've taken on a mission. Yi Tian explained the mission to collect netherworld stones in the realm of oblivion. Hearing this, Zia immediately cautioned, Master, in the past, this mission might not have been very dangerous. However, during this period, it's likely that the ghost tribe will also dispatch some princes to enter the realm of oblivion. Please be careful, Master. Don't worry, Yi Tian smiled faintly. Soon after, Zia led Yi Tian out of the yellow region, and they arrived at one of the exits of the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Zia could not leave the Supreme Hall of Humanity, so Yi Tian flew out alone, arriving at a small continent outside the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Subsequently, Yi Tian left the Great World where the Supreme Hall of Humanity was located through a teleportation formation. Tianlin Giant City. Yi Tian returned here once more. Tianlin Giant City housed many teleportation gates, which could transport one to various star fields. To reach the realm of oblivion, Yi Tian needed to pass through one of these teleportation gates. The realm of oblivion was located at the border between the human and ghost tribes, a vast distance away. Without the teleportation gates, it would be impossible to reach. Even Yi Tian's 6-star level cosmic spaceship wouldn't be able to exit the human sacred territory. Shortly, Yi Tian arrived at a grand teleportation hall. At this time, many people were queuing to use the teleportation gates here, but those in line were primarily divine beings of the great god level or higher. With his talent copying ability, Yi Tian quickly spotted a few planetary system-level powerhouses and a galaxy-level powerhouse. It's truly the human sacred territory, where one can casually encounter galaxy-level powerhouses. Yi Tian thought to himself. If this had been a long time ago, Yi Tian would have been quite shocked to see a galaxy-level powerhouse, but now, he felt nothing special. After all, he had entered the Supreme Hall of Humanity and even met 6 universal gods. His experience had changed from before. Moreover, his current cultivation talent far surpassed that of galaxy-level powerhouses. After merging the universe-level cultivation talent he had copied last time, his universe-level cultivation talent successfully transformed into a chaos-level cultivation talent. It could be said that as long as Yi Tian followed the proper path, he might even reach a realm above universal gods in the future. A mere galaxy-level powerhouse was really nothing in his eyes. Yi Tian chose not to queue and went directly to the interior of the teleportation hall. At this moment, 2 guards stopped Yi Tian. To use the teleportation gate, one must queue up. You cannot barge into the teleportation hall. I need to use the backup teleportation gate. I am the Prince of 10,000 Laws from the Supreme Hall. Yi Tian presented his identity token and said. The identity token of a prince from the Supreme Hall of Humanity was something no one dared to fake, and it was easy to recognize due to the supreme aura it emitted. The 2 great god-level guards recognized Yi Tian's identity token and immediately allowed him to pass. Prince of 10,000 Laws, please enter. Although the teleportation hall was not directly under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, it was of the same origin and managed by the higher echelons of the human race. Therefore, the teleportation hall naturally provided privileges to the princes under the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Firstly, princes from the Supreme Hall of Humanity could use the backup teleportation gates of the teleportation hall. Secondly, princes could use the teleportation gates without any fee, allowing for free transportation. Otherwise, Yi Tian wouldn't have left the human sacred territory to undertake missions, as the cost of teleportation alone would have been a substantial sum for him, not to mention the round-trip expenses. Upon entering the depths of the teleportation hall, Yi Tian took one of its gates to teleport to the Nanu star field. The Nanu star field had been conquered by the human race 800,000 years ago, originally belonging to a small clan. But now, that small clan had been exterminated, and the Nanu star field had completely fallen under human territory. The universe was so cruel. The weak either submitted or perished. Humans, too, had fought their way up from weakness. For instance, during the era of the Universal True Lord, humans were relatively weak, far from the strength they possessed now. At that time, the Pan-star field often suffered invasions from alien races. But now, humanity had risen. Ordinary alien races dared not enter the many star fields under human control, that would be tantamount to seeking death. Soon after, Yi Tian arrived at the Nanu star field, Nanu continent. He was teleported here and immediately left Nanu continent, boarding his 6-star cosmic spaceship to head towards the realm of oblivion. One of the entrances to the realm of oblivion was located on a planet in the Nanu star field. Within millions of miles around this planet, a faint aura of necrosis pervaded, a place that even Emperor-level beings dared not approach, making it one of the most infamous dead zones. On this day, Yi Tian's cosmic spaceship arrived in the area. At this time, it was very quiet here, with hardly anyone entering. After all, the realm of oblivion was extremely dangerous. Ordinary Emperor-level beings simply couldn't enter the realm of oblivion, to enter was to die. Only some major powers would occasionally send their powerful heavenly prides, or princes from the Supreme Hall of Humanity, into the realm of oblivion. Therefore, at this entrance, it was rare to encounter others. Moreover, the realm of oblivion did not restrict entry, so there were no guards guarding its entrance. Let's enter the realm of oblivion first. Wearing one of the jade amulets, Yi Tian stored his cosmic spaceship and flew directly into the star. Soon, Yi Tian found the entrance to the realm of oblivion, which was a massive spatial rift. Whoosh! Yi Tian flew into the spatial rift and was transported into the realm of oblivion. Within the realm of oblivion, the sky was gloomy, and the air was filled with extremely thin yuan qi, almost non-existent, replaced instead by the dense aura of necrosis. This necrotic aura swarmed towards him, seemingly trying to penetrate Yi Tian's body, but it was blocked by the jade amulet. Yi Tian decided not to cultivate the second level of the art of immortality for now but to look for netherworld stones first. He planned to find a safe place to cultivate the second level of the art of immortality after finding 10 netherworld stones. At this moment, Yi Tian recalled the introduction to netherworld stones he had seen in the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Netherworld stones, often born in extremely yin places, are formed over hundreds of millions of years and can be found at riverbeds, deep in forests, or within mountain ranges. Netherworld stones were difficult to find because treasure hunting talents and equipment have a hard time detecting them due to the netherworld stone's innate shielding ability, making them undetectable even to top-tier treasure hunting talents. The true netherworld stone is actually just a small core inside, with the exterior being netherworld iron that protects the netherworld stone. Netherworld iron also serves as protection, preventing detection by treasure hunting talents and divine consciousness. Thus, finding netherworld stones relied on luck. Many people entered the realm of oblivion and searched for several years, or even a decade, without finding a single netherworld stone. Yi Tian couldn't guarantee that he would find 10 netherworld stones, and if he couldn't, he would have to give up and turn to cultivating the second level of the art of immortality instead. He gave himself a deadline of 1 year. I hope to find 10 netherworld stones within a year. Yi Tian hoped. Aside from the necrotic aura, the realm of oblivion wasn't much different from the outside world in other aspects. It also had rivers and forests, but the trees in those forests were unlike those in the outside world. They possessed no vitality but were instead necrotic trees, filled with a deathly aura. These necrotic trees could not be taken out, even if forcibly removed, they would quickly turn to ashes without the nourishment of the necrotic aura, a very peculiar phenomenon. Yi Tian continued to fly through the realm of oblivion, and after half an hour, he finally saw a long river. The necrotic aura in this river was incredibly dense, far surpassing that of other areas. Approaching this river, the jade amulet on Yi Tian's body even began to tremble slightly. If he really entered the river, his amulet might not hold up. The necrotic aura in the river is so dense that even the amulet can't block it. It seems no one dares to enter the river. Logically, even if netherworld stones were to form at the bottom of the river, no one would be able to retrieve them, Yi Tian suddenly thought. Suddenly, he conceived a method to quickly obtain netherworld stones. His target, the bottom of the river. Chapter 463. Mystic Level Necrotic Talent, Mission Accomplished. TL. Etude. At the bottom of the River of Oblivion, there should be netherworld stones, since even children of the universe dared not venture to the riverbed. If Yi Tian could enter the riverbed, it would mean that he could obtain a considerable amount of netherworld stones. First, phase into space and take a look at the riverbed. Immediately, Yi Tian activated his spatial talent and phased into space. His body was concealed within the fabric of space, entering the corresponding spatial area of the riverbed. Simultaneously, Yi Tian activated his zoomy eyes, piercing through space, and scanned the riverbed area. Under Yi Tian's investigation, the situation at the bottom of the river was laid bare. Yi Tian kept searching, trying to find a piece of netherworld stone. Suddenly, a figure caught Yi Tian's attention. It was a creature resembling an octopus, slowly moving along the riverbed. It's actually a necrotic creature. Yi Tian exclaimed in surprise. He had once encountered a necrotic creature in the Divine Tomb world, which was the only necrotic creature he had ever encountered. Unexpectedly, there were also necrotic creatures in the realm of Oblivion, and he had encountered one so easily. Investigate. Yi Tian's clone talent enveloped the creature, clearly revealing the necrotic creature's talent situation. Type: Octo-Wraith. Bloodline talent: Moonlight. Strength talent: Top tier. Necrotic talent: Pseudo-Mystic 50%. Strangulation talent: Top tier. freewebnovel.com. From the talent situation of this Octo-Wraith, its talents were not particularly outstanding. Among Emperor-level creatures, it would definitely be considered quite ordinary. However, for Yi Tian, encountering this Octo-Wraith was definitely lucky. A 50% pseudo-mystic level necrotic talent, much higher than my own necrotic talent, copy. In an instant, Yi Tian copied the necrotic talent of the Octo-Wraith, immediately feeling elated. Afterward, Yi Tian left the river and, not far away, established a small cave dwelling. Then, he began to integrate the necrotic talent within the small cave dwelling. 10 minutes passed, and Yi Tian's necrotic talent was enhanced to 50% pseudo-mystic level. With this, Yi Tian's necrotic talent's effect in absorbing energy became much more powerful than before. It could even be said that Yi Tian did not need the Jade Amulet and could survive for a long time in the realm of Oblivion. Then, Yi Tian returned to the river, continued to use spatial phasing, and searched for netherworld stones. To Yi Tian's surprise, he discovered a few more necrotic creatures. Among them, 3 necrotic creatures possessed top-tier necrotic talents, and another necrotic creature even possessed a 40% pseudo-mystic level necrotic talent. Thus, Yi Tian copied that 40% pseudo-mystic level necrotic talent. After copying and integrating it, Yi Tian's necrotic talent was enhanced to 70% pseudo-mystic level. The higher the level of necrotic talent, the happier Yi Tian naturally became. Originally, Yi Tian was not very confident about whether he could cultivate the second layer of the art of immortality. Now, as the level of his necrotic talent continued to increase, Yi Tian's confidence naturally grew. On the second day, Yi Tian finally discovered a piece of netherworld stone. At a certain place on the riverbed, a basketball-sized stone was embedded in the mud. The stone's exterior was a dark, eerie metal. Yi Tian's divine sense attempted to probe into the metal, but it was blocked by the metal. His treasure-seeking talent also failed to locate the stone. Based on Yi Tian's judgment, this metal must be netherworld iron, and within netherworld iron, there was an 8 to 9 out of 10 chance of finding a netherworld stone. Let's take this stone first. Yi Tian activated his necrotic talent, and immediately a hand reached out from space, grabbing the netherworld iron. Boom! Countless necrotic energies surged into Yi Tian. At this moment, even the power of the Jade Amulet couldn't stop the necrotic energy. Due to Yi Tian activating his necrotic talent, his arm was only briefly inserted into the riverbed and promptly retreated into space, thus avoiding any harm. In space, Yi Tian placed the netherworld iron into his portable zoomy space, then carefully examined his right hand. At this moment, his right hand had been corroded somewhat, but under the combined effect of various healing talents, it quickly recovered. What a formidable necrotic talent! Fortunately, my necrotic talent has been enhanced to 70% pseudo-mystic level. Otherwise, with my previous top-tier necrotic talent level, I might have been severely injured by now. Yi Tian had to admit that he had underestimated the concentration and quality of the necrotic energy in the river. It seems that to cultivate the second layer of the art of immortality, I must enhance my necrotic talent to mystic level. Otherwise, even with my chaos body and the strong physical body of a child of the universe, I wouldn't be able to withstand it. Yi Tian thought to himself. This river, placed in the realm of oblivion, was just an ordinary river. Yi Tian had almost thoroughly explored this river, so he planned to go to other areas to investigate other rivers. This time, his goal was not only to find netherworld stones but also to seek other necrotic creatures and copy their necrotic talents. Whoosh! Yi Tian flew away, continuously searching for rivers. Half a day later, Yi Tian saw a river far wider and more majestic than the previous ones, and the necrotic energy of this river was also slightly denser than before. This river is good, perhaps I can find many netherworld stones and necrotic creatures here. Thinking this, Yi Tian phased into space and entered the riverbed. Next, Yi Tian began his investigation. Sure enough, just after a few minutes, Yi Tian discovered a necrotic creature. Type: Death Crocodile. Bloodline talent: Dawn level. Strength talent: Top tier. Defense talent: Top tier. Necrotic talent: Pseudo-Mystic 50%. Found it. Yi Tian was quite excited. This Death Crocodile's necrotic talent was up to 50% Pseudo-Mystic level. Once he copied and integrated this Death Crocodile's necrotic talent, his necrotic talent would surely be elevated to Mystic level. After successfully copying it, Yi Tian left the river and found a place to start integrating the 50% Pseudo-Mystic level necrotic talent. Half an hour later, Yi Tian's necrotic talent finally underwent a transformation. Necrotic talent: Mystic level. Before entering the realm of oblivion, Yi Tian had never expected his necrotic talent to be elevated to Mystic level. This was definitely a huge surprise. In the following days, Yi Tian no longer copied any necrotic talents. His main purpose now was to find netherworld stones. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. Yi Tian had explored 3 rivers, thoroughly investigating every inch of them, and finally found 13 pieces of netherworld iron. There should be at least 10 netherworld stones inside, Yi Tian estimated. So, that day, Yi Tian cut open each piece of netherworld iron. Crack, 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 the pieces of netherworld iron were forcefully opened by Yi Tian. After opening the first piece of netherworld iron, a gray, square stone appeared. This stone was not large, only about the size of a thumb. And Yi Tian recognized it at a glance. This stone was a netherworld stone. The first netherworld stone was obtained. Immediately after, Yi Tian opened all the other pieces of netherworld iron, and luckily, only one piece of netherworld iron did not contain a netherworld stone, the others all contained a netherworld stone. Yi Tian now possessed 12 netherworld stones, which meant he had completed his mission. Once he returned, he could enter the high-level Saber Dao origin cultivation realm for refinement. I have completed my mission, there is no need to look for netherworld stones anymore. It's time to refine the second layer of the art of immortality. The difficulty of refining the second layer of the art of immortality far exceeded the first layer, thus the time consumed also far exceeded that required for the first layer. Following Yi Tian's judgment, he found that refining the second layer of the art of immortality on land would probably be difficult to accomplish, as the concentration and quality of necrotic energy were slightly lacking. Therefore, Yi Tian must enter these rivers for refinement, and the best environment for refinement would be at the riverbed. It goes without saying that if Yi Tian had not elevated his necrotic talent to mystic level previously, he estimated that he wouldn't have been able to cultivate the second layer of the art of immortality. Whoosh! Yi Tian jumped into one of the rivers of the realm of oblivion. The moment he entered, countless necrotic energies surged into his body. Under the assault of so much necrotic energy, the jade amulet protecting Yi Tian's body couldn't withstand it anymore and began to show cracks. Immediately, Yi Tian stored the jade amulet into his portable Zumi storage realm, lest it be completely ruined, which would undoubtedly be a waste of a treasure. Without the protection of the jade amulet, Yi Tian faced the assault of these necrotic energies head-on. In an instant, the vitality of Yi Tian's body began to drain. Necrotic talent, immortality talent, life talent, healing talent, blood-devouring talent. Yi Tian activated all his talents, recovering his flesh that was being eroded by the necrotic energies. At the same time, Yi Tian also diverted a small part of his focus to control his body, operating the Chaos Body Refinement Art. Under the operation of the Chaos Body Refinement Art, quite a bit of the necrotic energy was transformed by the Chaos Body and the Chaos Body Refinement Art. With the assistance of numerous talents and methods, Yi Tian finally managed to withstand the erosion of the necrotic energies. Now I can refine the second layer of the art of immortality. Yi Tian was immensely looking forward to it. Chapter 464. The Fountain of Death, the Fountain of Immortality. TL. Etude. Yi Tian began to operate the second level of the art of immortality, and countless spirits of the dead from the riverbed started to converge towards him. The second level of the art of immortality was different from the first level. It required the creation of a fountain of death within the body first. This fountain of death was formed by the condensation of numerous high-quality spirits of the dead. Without a strong physique and the ability to resist the spirits of the dead, it was impossible to condense the fountain of death. Even if one managed to force the formation of the fountain of death, their body would be drained of vitality in an instant and perish. Once the fountain of death was successfully condensed, the next step was to begin its transformation into the fountain of immortality. When the fountain of immortality was successfully condensed, it was as if one had mastered the second level of the art of immortality. By that time, Yi Tian's body would undergo a significant transformation, and his lifespan would instantly increase by 100,000 years, making him akin to an immortal being. As days passed, a faint black dot appeared in the depths of Yi Tian's body. Gradually, this black dot absorbed a vast amount of the spirit of death and began to transform into a source brimming with the spirit of death. This source was the fountain of death, constantly absorbing Yi Tian's vitality and corroding his flesh. At this moment, Yi Tian utilized the divine beast blood from his Zumi storage realm. He had prepared this divine beast blood in advance. In the Supreme Hall of Humanity, divine beast blood was not considered valuable. One could buy a large quantity of it for just 1 point. For other princes of the universe, divine beast blood was practically useless. However, for Yi Tian, it was different. The divine beast blood contained a vast amount of vitality, which his blood-devouring talent could absorb to replenish his own vitality. Thus, with the help of his blood-devouring talent and a large amount of divine beast blood, Yi Tian's vitality replenishment was swift. Additionally, Yi Tian possessed a mystic-level talent for the undead, which was extremely useful in absorbing and resisting the spirits of the dead. Of course, once the fountain of death was condensed, no matter how hard Yi Tian tried to suppress it, he couldn't stop the loss of vitality. Overall, Yi Tian's vitality was still rapidly depleting. Therefore, Yi Tian had to transform the fountain of death into the fountain of immortality before his vitality was exhausted. Transform, fountain of death. Yi Tian continuously activated the second level of the art of immortality, gradually transforming the fountain of death. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Tian's vitality had already lost a great deal, and his whole being was filled with the aura of death, resembling a corpse. If a powerful being could approach Yi Tian at this moment, they wouldn't believe he was alive but rather think he had been dead for a long time. Eventually, within Yi Tian's fountain of death, a trace of vitality began to emerge. At first, this trace of vitality was immediately overwhelmed by the countless spirits of death within the fountain of death. But as time passed, more and more vitality began to emerge, and more spirits of death started to transform into vitality, reversing the situation. 1%, 2%, 3%. When 50% of the fountain of death was transformed into the force of vitality, Yi Tian's vitality no longer depleted but began to be replenished bit by bit. At this point, Yi Tian was very clear that he would surely master the second level of the art of immortality this time. Somewhere in the realm of oblivion, Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride were frantically fleeing at the moment. They, too, had come to the realm of oblivion, likewise in search of netherworld stones. The Supreme Hall of Humanity had issued the task of finding netherworld stones not only in the inner hall but also in the outer hall. Among the many tasks, finding netherworld stones was undoubtedly the most worthwhile. Although this task was somewhat risky, the rewards were too significant in comparison. Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride had a hard time in the outer hall of the Supreme Hall of Humanity. There were far too many 9-star peerless Heavenly Prides, making the competition extremely fierce. If they didn't grow quickly, they would become cannon fodder in the future. So, both of them had been frantically taking on tasks recently, and this time they had set their sights on the task of entering the realm of oblivion to find netherworld stones. Initially, the two of them were not exactly friends, but since they both came from the Pan-Star field and had faced each other multiple times, they became somewhat familiar. Gradually, the two became known in the outer hall of the Supreme Hall of Humanity. This time, they entered the realm of oblivion together, hoping to complete this task. If they were lucky enough to complete it, they even had a chance to become children of the universe. Unfortunately, they were quite unlucky. They had just found a few netherworld stones when they were discovered by 5 ghostly 9-star peerless heavenly prides. Faced with a 2 against 5 situation, Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride knew they were no match and quickly fled. During their escape, they used up many treasures but were still unable to shake off the 5 ghostly heavenly prides. Following this trend, the 2 would inevitably be caught up with soon. The human race and the ghost race were sworn enemies, so there was no room for compromise. An encounter would inevitably lead to a fierce battle. Crack! Suddenly, Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride's face changed as his personal jade amulet cracked, clearly damaged by a strike from a ghost race Heavenly Pride during the chase. Members of the outer hall of the Supreme Hall of Humanity only had 2 jade amulets each, unlike those in the inner hall. Quick, change your jade amulet, Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride, or it won't last much longer. Raging Sun Heavenly Pride hastily reminded him. The spirit of the dead in the realm of oblivion was no joke. Without the protection of a jade amulet, even a 9-star Heavenly Pride wouldn't be able to withstand the spirit of the dead here and would soon be corroded and consumed by it, leading to death. Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride was well aware of the terror of the spirit of the dead and quickly took out his last jade amulet, placing it on his chest. Whoosh! The 2 continued to flee at high speed. They arrived above a long river and were preparing to ascend to cross over it. They dared not fly at low altitude because doing so would bring them too close to the river, where the spirit of the dead was particularly dense, making it harder for the jade amulets to resist. But just as they were about to ascend, the 5 ghost race prodigies finally caught up. You cannot escape, one of the ghost race prodigies sneered. At that moment, one of the ghost race prodigies brought out a flag. This flag bore a skull pattern, and a sinister aura emanated from it. A mid-grade divine artifact of the ghost race. Raging Sun Heavenly Pride frowned slightly. The power of a mid-grade divine artifact was extraordinary, and this flag was likely no ordinary item among them. Suddenly, the flag released an endless dark light, enveloping the area. This truly changed the expressions of Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride. The flag was clearly an artifact for trapping people. Once trapped by the artifact in this area, their escape would become troublesome. The treasures they had used to flee were almost exhausted, and they now had no confidence in breaking through the artifact's barrier. We have no grievances with you, why do you pursue us? Raging Sun Heavenly Pride asked. He knew his question was futile, but he didn't know what else to do and could only try to stall for time. It's natural for the ghost race to kill members of the human race since we are enemies. But don't worry, we're not going to act ourselves, you 2 are prey for His Highness Guili. Haha, we 5 are servants of His Highness Guili. It's His Highness's first visit to the realm of oblivion, and he wishes to kill a few members of the human race to make a statement. You 2 are just unlucky to have encountered us. Soon, His Highness Guili will arrive, you 2 might as well wait for death. One of the ghost race prodigies said. What, a prince of the ghost race? Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride and Raging Sun Heavenly Pride understood what His Highness meant. Like the human race, the ghost race also referred to their children of the universe as His Highness. The arrival of a child of the universe meant they stood no chance. Facing just the 5 ghost race prodigies, they might have hoped to kill 1 or 2 by risking their lives. But if a ghost race prince arrived, he could easily kill them both. How could they escape? 5 equally strong ghost race prodigies surrounded them, and they had unleashed a trapping mid-grade divine artifact. They were truly in a dire situation with no means of escape. What should we do now, Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride? Raging Sun Heavenly Pride asked through mental communication. If all else fails, we'll have to fight desperately to break the artifact's barrier and then fly downwards, stirring up the river water to break their protective treasures with the spirit of the dead, corroding their flesh. If we're going to die, we'll take them with us. Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride suggested. But the chances of this plan succeeding were slim. However, if they were indeed doomed, this was all they could do. Just then, a terrifying aura approached from afar, reaching them in an instant. Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride and Raging Sun Heavenly Pride looked in the distance, their pupils shrinking at the sight of a ghost race youth in a white robe slowly approaching. The youth's aura seemed to suppress the surroundings, far surpassing the limit of a 9-star Heavenly Pride. His identity was self-evident. A prince of the ghost race. Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride and Raging Sun Heavenly Pride were filled with terror. The arrival was too swift for them to react. Chapter 465. The figure emerging from the riverbed. TL. Etude. Quickly break through the divine artifact barrier and meet our end together with them. The Raging Sun Heavenly Pride declared resolutely. Crescent Moon nodded and immediately activated several of his divine artifacts. Explode. The explosions of the divine artifacts caused a huge spatial disturbance. These divine artifacts were all of lower grade quality. Perhaps the explosion of a single lower grade divine artifact might not break through the barrier of a middle grade divine artifact, but the combined explosions of several artifacts could potentially breach the barrier of a middle grade divine artifact. With a crack, the barrier of the divine artifact was broken. However, at this moment, both Crescent Moon and the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride were already severely injured. They had detonated their divine artifacts, but since their minds and the artifacts were connected and contained their soul imprints, the explosion of the artifacts naturally damaged their souls. Moreover, the shockwave from the explosion also impacted them. Although they managed to block it, they were naturally not lightly injured. Crescent Moon and the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride rushed out of the barrier and flew towards the river below. The water in the river was not special, but it contained a high concentration of necrotic energy. Simply stirring up the river water to flood the area would deter even the children of the universe. The 5 ghostly heavenly prides were almost certainly doomed. Of course, the 2 of them were almost certainly doomed as well. But exchanging 2 for 5 was a worthwhile trade. Let's die together. Both the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride revealed a crazed look in the depths of their eyes. At this moment, the surface of the river began to churn, and a whirlpool appeared. Crescent Moon, the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride. Both were stunned. They had not manipulated the river water, and it seemed not to be controlled by the other party either. "It's not my doing," the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride immediately said. "Nor is it mine," Crescent Moon also hastily added. Boom, the surface of the river exploded, and a powerful aura was released. The 5 ghostly heavenly prides also stared at the water surface with great solemnity, seemingly abandoning their attack on the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride, and continuously retreated. The surface of the river of oblivion was trembling, and something was about to emerge. This was no small matter. If the river water were to fly out and envelop them, they might also fall and die. Moreover, those 2 human heavenly prides were their prince's prey. They did not need to take action and naturally would not foolishly rush forward. As for the Ghost Race Prince, he also showed a solemn expression and did not step forward to kill the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride. To him, 2 9-star heavenly prides were like ants, easily killed with a flick of his wrist. In his presence, 2 9-star heavenly prides couldn't possibly escape and were not worth his concern. He was more curious about what exactly was happening in the river, why there was a whirlpool and a terrifying aura. Necrotic creatures, Prince Guili wondered, but as far as he knew, the necrotic creatures of the Oblivion realm were weak, the strongest being comparable only to 8 or 9-star peerless heavenly prides at most. After all, these creatures had little intelligence and relied on their innate talents. It was impossible for a necrotic creature comparable to a child of the universe to be born, and god level or above necrotic creatures were almost non-existent due to the rules of the Oblivion realm. Yet, the aura from the bottom of the river made even him feel somewhat apprehensive, which was quite strange. Of course, whether it was a necrotic creature or not, he was not entirely sure. The bottom of the river was filled with the energy of death spirits, and that aura was enveloped by the energy of death spirits, making his perception unclear. Whoosh! A figure slowly emerged from the whirlpool, as if a terrifying demon god was about to be born. Both the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride trembled all over. They felt that the creature in the water was even more terrifying than the 5 heavenly prides and the Ghost Race Prince. "We're doomed," Crescent Moon murmured. It all seemed very slow, but in reality, it happened very quickly. In the blink of an eye, the figure completely emerged. At first glance, Crescent Moon and the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride were astounded because it was a human, but his body was severely corroded by the energy of death spirits. A human, this. Crescent Moon and the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride couldn't believe it. After all, they were 9-star peerless heavenly prides, but in the Oblivion realm, if they didn't rely on the jade amulets issued by the Supreme Hall of Humanity, they would certainly die horribly. According to their understanding, even the children of the universe couldn't move freely in the Oblivion realm and must rely on the jade amulets. But now, a human had not only entered the riverbed without relying on a jade amulet but had now emerged from it. Although it was unclear how long this person had stayed at the bottom of the river, the fact that he could stay there for so long without dying was terrifying enough. In the distance, Prince Guili was also startled. A human had actually come out from the bottom of the river. What was this situation? He wouldn't think that this human relied on his own abilities. It must be with the aid of some special treasure. If I could use this special treasure, perhaps I could also enter the riverbed. Prince Guili was aware that the riverbed nurtured netherworld stones. If he could enter the riverbed, it would be much easier to search for the netherworld stones. However, he didn't immediately take action because the person was still in the river, and he dared not engage with an enemy in the river. The person who walked out from the riverbed was Yi Tian. In fact, Yi Tian had been paying attention to the situation outside all along. Naturally, he had noticed the situation where the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride were surrounded by 5 ghostly Heavenly Prides. As a member of the human race, he couldn't just stand by and watch 2 human Heavenly Prides be surrounded and killed by the ghostly Heavenly Prides. Conveniently, he had just successfully transformed the Fountain of Death into the Fountain of Immortality. Therefore, the moment the transformation was completely successful, he walked out of the riverbed to avoid delaying and allowing Crescent Moon and the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride to fall. Because the transformation had just been completed, Yi Tian's body was still in a severely corroded state, so the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride couldn't recognize Yi Tian. Boom! Countless vital energies surged from the Fountain of Immortality, and under the operation of the second layer of the Art of Immortality, the residual death spirit energy on Yi Tian's body was absorbed and refined by the Fountain of Immortality, becoming rich vital energy. In an instant, the vitality on Yi Tian's body began to transform, and the corroded state retreated at a visible speed. Moreover, with Yi Tian's talents of immortality, healing, and life, his injuries naturally recovered quickly. When Yi Tian completely emerged from the river's surface and stood in midair, his injuries had already fully recovered. At this moment, his appearance was also clearly displayed in front of the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride. Prince of 10,000 Laws. The Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride widened their eyes, showing an incredulous expression. They had never expected the person who emerged from the riverbed to be the familiar Prince of 10,000 Laws. They knew the Prince of 10,000 Laws was powerful, but he had only joined the Supreme Hall of Humanity along with them. How had he become so formidable, able to emerge from the riverbed and instantly recover from a severely corroded state and more? They clearly saw that Yi Tian was not wearing any jade amulets on his body, but was resisting the death spirit energy of the world with his true body. No, not resisting, but absorbing. The death spirit energy was continuously flowing into Yi Tian's body, but it couldn't harm him, as if Yi Tian could absorb the death spirit energy. Incredible! The Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride exclaimed inwardly. Crescent Moon, Raging Sun Heavenly Pride, you two back off. Yi Tian waved his hand and said. Yes. The Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride nodded in response and flew backward, distancing themselves from the area. Yi Tian, however, stepped towards Prince Gui Li. He knew Prince Gui Li was a child of the universe from the ghost race, but the ghost race was much weaker than the human race. If it weren't for the fact that the human race was held back by other major races, the little ghost race would not be a concern. And naturally, the children of the universe from the ghost race were not as formidable as those from the human race. With Yi Tian's understanding of the children of the universe from the ghost race, it seemed that the ghost race currently only had 10 peak-level children of the universe and 50 ordinary-level children of the universe. Among them, most of those 10 peak-level children of the universe were of the 3rd tier, with only one at the 1st tier. Yi Tian didn't believe his luck was so good that he happened to encounter the strongest peak-level child of the universe from the ghost race. Based on his deduction, Prince Gui Li was at most an ordinary-level child of the universe. Thus, he was fearless. So it's a child of the universe from the human race. Before I came here, I specifically spent a lot of money to inquire about some of the powerful children of the universe from the human race, but your information was not among them. You must be a newly advanced child of the universe from the human race. If I could kill a child of the universe from the human race today, I am sure your race would be furious. Prince Gui Li laughed wildly. I think the one who will die today should be you. Yi Tian said indifferently. Boom! The power of space instantly sealed off this area. Then, Yi Tian executed the Heartless God Saber technique. As quick as his state of mind was, so was his saber technique. Yi Tian's state of mind was at the 4th level, and he often used the Great Sun Sutra to refine his state of mind. Although he couldn't refine the 4th layer of the Great Sun Sutra, the 3rd layer alone was enough to gradually strengthen his state of mind. Now, Yi Tian's state of mind was much stronger than before. Therefore, this strike was incredibly fast. Puff! A streak of saber light instantly pierced through Prince Gui Li's body. However, Prince Gui Li timely transformed into a ghostly phantom body, his body becoming like an illusion. Although the Heartless God Saber technique injured him, the wound was not severe and could only be considered a minor injury. As expected of a child of the universe, your strength is indeed extraordinary. Yi Tian said indifferently. From the brief exchange just now, it could be preliminarily seen that Prince Guili's strength should be at the third tier of the ordinary level children of the universe. Spatial divine form. Yi Tian executed his strongest divine ability. When the spatial divine ability was unleashed, Prince Guili was completely terrified. Not good, such a powerful spatial divine ability, plus that strike just now, he is a peak-level child of the universe. Prince Guili immediately thought of fleeing. Chapter 466, Slaying a Ghost Clan Prince and Frantically Collecting Netherworld Stones. TL. Etude. Confronted with a peak-level child of the universe, Prince Guili didn't believe he stood a chance against his opponent. If he didn't flee, there was a good chance he would meet his demise here today. Unfortunately, escaping in front of a spatial talent was extremely difficult. The space around them had already been solidified by Yi Tian, creating immense spatial pressure, which greatly slowed down Prince Guili's speed. Moreover, Yi Tian had activated his spatial divine form divine ability, making him incredibly fast. In an instant, Yi Tian arrived beside Prince Guili. Boom! Under Yi Tian's relentless attacks, Prince Guili simply couldn't withstand the assault. Although he could make his body ethereal, Yi Tian's attacks were spatial in nature, meaning even an ethereal body couldn't block them. Zoomy palm! Yi Tian's hand forcefully descended, enveloping the space around Prince Guili. During his time in the Supreme Hall of Humanity, Yi Tian had also delved into the study of palm techniques. Now, he had successfully mastered the Zoomy palm, a super god-level palm technique, to perfection. Under the state of spatial divine form divine ability, the might of Yi Tian's Zoomy palm was terrifying. Boom! With one palm strike, a vast expanse of space shattered. At that moment, a large bell shielded Prince Guili. This bell was a middle-grade divine artifact, and among them, it was of high quality. Even many true gods didn't possess such artifacts. Phantom gold thread divine ability. With a thought from Yi Tian, countless phantom gold threads emerged from the void, instantly slicing towards Prince Guili. These countless phantom gold threads constantly clashed and sliced against the middle-grade divine artifact bell. Simultaneously, Yi Tian bombarded the bell with his fists. Although the middle-grade divine artifact was powerful, even the strongest child of the universe was only at the emperor level, lacking divine power. Only divine power could truly activate the might of a divine artifact. Therefore, Prince Guili couldn't unleash the full power of this defensive divine artifact. Crack! The protective light of the middle-grade defensive divine artifact fractured, and Prince Guili was severely injured and bleeding. No! Prince Guili was filled with terror. With a snap, the defenses of the middle-grade defensive divine artifact finally broke, and Yi Tian's hand reached in, grabbing Prince Guili out. The terrifying spatial power continuously shattered Prince Guili's body. Even as a child of the universe, he couldn't resist Yi Tian's spatial divine form divine ability. It could be said that under the spatial divine form divine ability, every move Yi Tian made was the strongest spatial attack. In less than 10 seconds, Prince Guili's physical body was completely destroyed by Yi Tian, meeting his end on the spot. In the distance, the 5 heavenly prides of the Ghost Clan revealed expressions of horror. In their eyes, Prince Guili was an invincible existence, a noble child of the universe. But now, the incredibly powerful and seemingly eternal Prince Guili was slain by a human child of the universe. This is a major incident. Prince Guili's identity was not ordinary, he was a descendant of a universal god. It was easy to imagine how enraged that universal god would be once the news of Prince Guili's demise spread. And as Prince Guili's 5 servants, their fates would be sealed if they returned to the Ghost Clan. Despite this, they didn't wish to perish here. Run! The 5 heavenly prides of the Ghost Clan scattered, hoping to escape in all directions. Suddenly, phantom gold threads appeared. In an instant, the Ghost Clan heavenly prides were bound, and the phantom gold threads sliced them into countless pieces with a single motion. They're too weak. Yi Tian shook his head as he looked at the 5 deceased Ghost Clan heavenly prides. Before becoming a child of the universe, facing 5 9-star peerless heavenly prides of the Ghost Clan alone might have been challenging for him. Although he could win, killing all 5 9-star peerless heavenly prides of the Ghost Clan would have been impossible. But now, slaying 5 9-star peerless heavenly prides of the Ghost Clan was as easy as waving his hand for him. After witnessing the demise of Prince Guili and the 5 Ghost Clan heavenly prides, the heavenly pride of Scorching Sun and heavenly pride of Crescent Moon flew over. Thank you, Prince of 10,000 Laws. The heavenly pride of Scorching Sun and heavenly pride of Crescent Moon bowed and thanked him. It was nothing. I didn't expect you two to enter the realm of oblivion as well. Yi Tian said to the heavenly pride of scorching sun and heavenly pride of crescent moon. We had no choice. The competition in the outer hall of the Supreme Hall of Humanity was too fierce. Seeing that the task of collecting netherworld stones in the realm of oblivion offered a good reward, we decided to try our luck here. freewebnovel.com. The heavenly pride of scorching sun said with some resignation. Once upon a time, he was among the top heavenly prides in the Pan-star field. But now, having entered the Supreme Hall of Humanity, they couldn't compare to the princes in the inner hall, and even in the outer hall, they were at the bottom. This development dealt a significant blow to them. But they had no choice. Since they had joined the Supreme Hall of Humanity, they had to seize every opportunity to strive for the status of a child of the universe. How many netherworld stones have you collected? Yi Tian inquired. I've collected 2, and Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon has collected 1, Raging Sun Heavenly Pride responded. Wait here, I'll go collect some netherworld stones for you to help complete your task, Yi Tian suddenly declared. What? Both Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon were somewhat baffled. Netherworld stones were incredibly precious, and finding them was not a matter of strength but luck. Even for a child of the universe, locating a netherworld stone was extremely difficult. Moreover, the task of collecting netherworld stones required a total of 10. Together, they needed 20 netherworld stones. But Yi Tian proposed to help them complete their task, and they had only collected 3 netherworld stones in total, which meant they still needed to collect 17 more. The difficulty of this task was enormous. Prince of 10,000 Laws, if you help us collect netherworld stones, it will waste too much of your time. It will delay your cultivation time, let's forget it. Both Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon did not want Yi Tian's cultivation to be delayed because of their task, as they would feel guilty. Have you forgotten that I can enter the bottom of the realm of oblivion? There are many rivers in the realm of oblivion, and each river nurtures a few netherworld stones. I just need to find a few more rivers to collect enough netherworld stones. Moreover, I've just slain 5 heavenly prides of the ghost clan and a prince, and they should also have some netherworld stones on them. Yi Tian explained. Prince of 10,000 Laws, the value of netherworld stones is immeasurable. Why would you help us like this? Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon expressed their astonishment. Because, back in the Saber Realm Fragment world, you revealed to me the secret of becoming a child of the universe. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put all my effort into advancing my state of mind. Although it was a trade at that time, your help did contribute to my becoming a child of the universe. So, giving you some netherworld stones is nothing. Yi Tian explained. He didn't want to owe anyone favors. If it weren't for Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon and Raging Sun Heavenly Pride, he might not have been able to enter the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Initially, he only took Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon and Raging Sun Heavenly Pride out of the Saber Realm Fragment world, but such a trade was unfair, and he had also taken their permission tokens, indeed owing them at that time. Now that Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon and Raging Sun Heavenly Pride were in trouble, he was willing to help if he could. Besides, he had already collected a dozen netherworld stones, and since the task of collecting netherworld stones could only be done once and not repeated, collecting more didn't serve much purpose for him, and netherworld stones couldn't be traded outside. The higher-ups of humanity strictly controlled netherworld stones. Of course, if he traded the excess netherworld stones with other princes, he could indeed trade for a lot of points. However, collecting netherworld stones was relatively easy for him. Even if he gave 17 netherworld stones to Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon and Raging Sun Heavenly Pride, he could continue to collect more. Soon after, Yi Tian scavenged the spatial rings of the 5 heavenly prides of the Ghost Clan and Prince Gui Li. After searching, Yi Tian found many treasures and 6 netherworld stones. Take these 6 netherworld stones for now. Wait here for me, I'll go find the rest of the netherworld stones. Yi Tian instructed. Thank you, Prince of 10,000 Laws. Both Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon and Raging Sun Heavenly Pride were incredibly excited. They had thought it would be difficult to collect all the netherworld stones. But now, with Yi Tian's help, they felt confident they could complete the task. Whoosh! Yi Tian teleported away. Next, Yi Tian began searching for rivers in the realm of oblivion. Soon, he found a sizable river. This time, he didn't phase into space. Phasing into space would allow his divine sense to detect surroundings, but it would limit the range of detection, slowing down the search for netherworld stones. Thus, Yi Tian chose to enter the river physically. Having mastered the second realm of the art of immortality, even if his physical body entered the riverbed, he wasn't afraid of the riverbed's spirit of death. This significantly increased his speed in searching for netherworld stones. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. During this half-month, Yi Tian found a total of 23 netherworld stones. It's time to go back. I'll give 11 netherworld stones to Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and Heavenly Pride Crescent Moon, then I'll continue searching for netherworld stones. Yi Tian murmured to himself. Chapter 467. Selling netherworld stones, over 10,000 points. TL. Etude. Yi Tian quickly arrived at the place where he had previously slain Prince Guili. As soon as Yi Tian returned, the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and the Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride flew up from underground. During this time, they had been hiding underground, setting up concealment formations, fearing discovery by the princes of the ghost race. Now that Yi Tian had returned, they emerged. Raging Sun Heavenly Pride, Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride, you already had 9 netherworld stones before, here are 11 more. Take them. Yi Tian took out 11 netherworld stones and handed them to the Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride and the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride. The two, looking at the 11 netherworld stones in front of them, were overwhelmed with excitement. With these 11 netherworld stones, they could complete the task issued by the Supreme Hall of Humanity and gain a great opportunity from the hall. Prince of 10,000 Laws, thank you very much. The Raging Sun Heavenly Pride and the Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride expressed their gratitude once again. Alright, now that you've gathered the netherworld stones, you should leave quickly. Don't linger in the realm of oblivion any longer. Yi Tian advised. We understand. The Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride and the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride nodded. Naturally, they wanted to leave immediately. If they stayed any longer in the realm of oblivion, they would definitely be doomed if they encountered a prince of the ghost race. With that, the two bid farewell to Yi Tian. After the departure of the Crescent Moon Heavenly Pride and the Raging Sun Heavenly Pride, Yi Tian continued to search for netherworld stones in the realm of oblivion. His target was still the riverbed. The realm of oblivion was vast, with many places containing netherworld stones, but it was too difficult to search in those areas. Searching at the riverbed was relatively easier, so Yi Tian naturally took advantage of this, aiming to gather more netherworld stones. Then, he planned to return to the yellow grade area of the Supreme Hall of Humanity to trade these stones for a large number of points. Within the Supreme Hall of Humanity, trading between princes was permissible. Thus, Yi Tian's actions were not against the rules. Time passed, and a year flew by in the blink of an eye. During this year, Yi Tian nearly explored all the rivers and lakes in the realm of oblivion. Netherworld stones. Yi Tian counted briefly. These were his total gains, invaluable in worth. Having obtained so many netherworld stones, Yi Tian no longer planned to search for more. Continuing the search would be a waste of time. He didn't have that much time to waste. Therefore, Yi Tian prepared to leave the realm of oblivion. With continuous teleportation, he quickly left the realm of oblivion through the previous exit and returned to the outside world. Subsequently, Yi Tian arrived at the Nanu continent and teleported back to Tianlin Giant City through the continent's teleportation gate. After returning to Tianlin Giant City, Yi Tian went directly to the Hall of Holy Scripts. After a brief inspection there, he was able to take the teleportation formation directly into the Grand World where the Supreme Hall of Humanity was located. Finally back, Yi Tian entered the Supreme Hall of Humanity, called for the steward Xia, and asked Xia to take him back to the inner hall's yellow grade area. As soon as he returned to the yellow grade area, Yi Tian couldn't wait to post a trade message in the phantom world of the yellow grade area. Selling netherworld stones, 1 netherworld stone for 30 points, first come first served, 1 netherworld stone for 30 points, 10 netherworld stones equals 300 points. For the newly initiated princes, this price was too high, beyond their reach. But for those princes who had entered the yellow grade area of the Supreme Hall of Humanity early on, they had surely completed many tasks over such a long period and must have accumulated quite a few points. And the task of collecting netherworld stones was very attractive to those princes. Spending 300 points to buy 10 netherworld stones, completing the task of collecting netherworld stones without leaving home, and gaining a great opportunity. Yi Tian thought that those princes would be willing. Indeed, not long after Yi Tian posted the trade message, princes began to contact him. Prince of 10,000 Laws, I want to trade for 10 stones. Prince of 10,000 Laws, where are you now? I'll come to trade with you immediately. Prince of 10,000 Laws, please don't trade all the netherworld stones away. Save 5 for me, and I'll be right there. Yi Tian looked at these messages and replied to all, come directly to my cultivation tower to trade. The netherworld stones are limited, first come first served. He then shared the location of his cultivation tower. After all, many princes were unfamiliar with Yi Tian and naturally didn't know the location of his cultivation tower. Before long, the first prince arrived. "Master, Prince Qinyu has arrived," Xia reported to Yi Tian. "Bring Prince Qinyu over," Yi Tian ordered. Thus, Xia led Prince Qinyu into Yi Tian's cultivation tower. Prince Qinyu was a female prince, but her strength was formidable, being a peak child of the universe, comparable to Yi Tian. "Prince Qinyu, Prince of 10,000 Laws." Yi Tian and Prince Qinyu greeted each other and quickly got straight to the point. "Prince of 10,000 Laws, I'd like to trade for 10 netherworld stones." "Do you have 10 netherworld stones on you?" Prince Qinyu asked, somewhat uncertainly. Netherworld stones were extremely precious, mainly because they were hard to find. The princes of the Supreme Hall of Humanity didn't want to waste too much time collecting netherworld stones in the realm of oblivion. And in just over 90 years, a grand event was approaching. For a child of the universe like Prince Qinyu, the pressure was actually quite substantial, naturally not wanting to waste any time. Now that Yi Tian was willing to sell netherworld stones, she naturally wanted to buy 10 netherworld stones to directly complete the task of collecting netherworld stones and thus obtain a great opportunity. But she was uncertain whether Yi Tian had 10 netherworld stones, as it seemed improbable for one person to gather that many, given their rarity. Under Prince Qinyu's somewhat astonished gaze, Yi Tian directly took out 10 netherworld stones from his Zumi storage realm. "Here are 10 netherworld stones for you, Prince Qinyu. Just transfer 300 points to me, and these 10 netherworld stones are yours," Yi Tian said. "All right." Prince Qinyu immediately transferred 300 points to Yi Tian, who then handed over the 10 netherworld stones, completing their transaction. Subsequently, one prince after another came to trade. Some traded for 10 netherworld stones, while others for just a few. In less than half a day, Yi Tian had traded away all his netherworld stones, except for the 10 he needed for his task, gaining nearly 10,000 points in total. It could be said that no other prince in the yellow grade area probably had more points than Yi Tian. He was now undoubtedly the top point holder in the yellow grade area. Next, Yi Tian submitted the task of collecting netherworld stones. Before long, a phantom spirit took Yi Tian's 10 netherworld stones, marking his task as completed, and gave Yi Tian a voucher in return. This voucher, chosen by Yi Tian, was for entry into a high-grade Saber Dao origin cultivation realm. Without this voucher, it was impossible to enter that high-grade Saber Dao origin cultivation realm for cultivation. Yi Tian had already planned to first enter this high-grade Saber Dao origin cultivation realm to improve his Saber Dao realm and then use these 10,000 points to enhance his strength. With 10,000 points, Yi Tian wouldn't need to worry about points for a long time. Supreme Hall of Humanity. Yi Tian came out again, but this time he was not preparing to enter the outside world, but to go somewhere in this grand world. Because the high-grade Saber Dao origin cultivation realm was not inside the Supreme Hall of Humanity, but somewhere in the grand world. Now, Yi Tian also knew the name of this grand world. Human Origin Realm. This name declared that this grand world was the origin of humanity, a very important place on the path of humanity's rise, hence the name. The human origin realm was as vast as a galaxy, and Yi Tian hadn't visited more than 99% of it. Apart from the colossal structure of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, the human origin realm had many cultivation treasures and important bases. Yi Tian left the Supreme Hall of Humanity and arrived at a small continent-like landmass, taking a teleportation formation to a location in the human origin realm. Whoosh! The teleportation formation activated, and Yi Tian was sent to a distant place. Heavenly Saber City. This was a city within the human origin realm. Yi Tian was previously unaware of the many cities within the human origin realm, but he learned of them now. Heavenly Saber City was no small place, inhabited by descendants of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, generation after generation, making its population quite large. However, residents of Heavenly Saber City couldn't leave the human origin realm at will, but in reality, few wished to leave. Because behind Heavenly Saber City, they could receive the best cultivation, far more comfortable than the outside world. And Heavenly Saber City was guarded by several universal gods, all from the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Yi Tian came to Heavenly Saber City because an entrance to the high-grade Saber Dao origin cultivation realm was located here. Saber Saint Pavilion. Yi Tian entered, showing his voucher to a true god-level powerhouse. "I want to enter the sacred Saber realm," Yi Tian stated calmly. "Your Highness, please follow me." The true god-level powerhouse was very polite, as princes from the inner hall of the Supreme Hall of Humanity held a very prestigious status, and he naturally did not dare to neglect. Sorry everyone, it took a bit longer this time. Chapter 468. Saber Dao achieving 90%, second tier of peak child of the universe. TL. Etude. Yi Tian followed a true god-level powerhouse and entered the second floor of the Saber Saint Pavilion. At the entrance of the second floor, two great god-level powerhouses guarded it, and there were definitely galaxy-level powerhouses guarding in secret. Upon entering the second floor, Yi Tian arrived in front of an ancient teleportation stone gate. Your Highness, you can enter the sacred saber realm through this teleportation stone gate, but you can only cultivate there for 3 months. After 3 months, if you haven't come out, we will forcibly teleport you out, a great god-level powerhouse guarding the gate reminded. I understand, Yi Tian nodded in response. Immediately, a few great god-level powerhouses activated the teleportation stone gate. With a rumble, the stone gate emitted a bright light, revealing a spatial vortex. Yi Tian stepped in, and after a few seconds of teleportation, he arrived in the origin cultivation realm of the Saber Dao on a vast expanse of land. Standing there, Yi Tian closed his eyes and immersed his mind in the land around him, sensing everything. In the void, countless saber principles penetrated the order of the entire world, and he even sensed an incredibly powerful aura of the saber's origin. This truly is a high-tier Saber Dao origin cultivation realm. Yi Tian marveled. This world seemed to display the complete Saber Dao between heaven and earth, allowing one to easily comprehend the profound mysteries of the Saber Dao. Countless saber principle marks filled the void. Yi Tian had originally thought that there would be a high-tier Saber Dao origin divine artifact in this high-tier Saber Dao origin cultivation realm, and that he needed to stay near the high-tier Saber Dao origin divine artifact to cultivate. However, after entering this world, Yi Tian realized he was mistaken. This world was clearly created by using one or several high-tier Saber Dao origin divine artifacts, extracting their origins to form this realm. It was estimated that only by doing so could the full potential of a high-tier Saber Dao origin divine artifact be truly unleashed, creating a high-tier Saber Dao origin cultivation realm. Since the high-tier Saber Dao origin divine artifacts had already merged into the entire world, the effects of cultivation were quite good anywhere in this sacred saber realm. However, the effects were slightly better near the central area of the sacred saber realm, as the origin of a world was generally located at its center. Soon, Yi Tian flew to the central region of the sacred saber realm, chose a mountain peak, and established a temporary cave dwelling. Next, Yi Tian began his closed-door cultivation. This time, his goal was to elevate his Saber Dao realm from 80% to 90%. Yi Tian activated his pseudo-mystic level time talent, accelerating the passage of time in the cave dwelling by 30 times, and also activated his top-tier comprehension talent, increasing his comprehension by 20 times. Official cultivation began. As time passed, Yi Tian's Saber Dao realm continued to advance. 83%, 84%, 85%. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. Using this month, Yi Tian managed to elevate his Saber Dao realm to 86%. With 2 more months, I should be able to raise my Saber Dao realm to 90%. Once my Saber Dao realm reaches 90%, my soul can truly integrate with the heavenly Saber Dao characters, and I might be able to push my Saber Dao realm to 100% or even deduce a supreme Saber Dao ultimate technique. Yi Tian was very much looking forward to this. However, while Yi Tian was cultivating, a universal god guarding the sacred saber realm checked the origin of the sacred saber realm and suddenly found that the consumption of the realm's origin was somewhat fast. It's strange, why has the sacred saber realm's origin consumed so much in just 1 month? This universal god was quite surprised. Immediately, he conducted an investigation. He discovered that during this period, many princes had gathered enough netherworld stones, completing the task of collecting netherworld stones. Several of them chose the sacred saber realm, so there were more people comprehending and cultivating in the sacred saber realm than usual. However, it still doesn't add up. The rate of consumption isn't just a little fast, but several times faster. The universal god frowned. Never mind, it's probably because Your Highness used some special secret technique or talent to accelerate their comprehension. This universal god thought. This situation was also within the allowed range of the Supreme Hall of Humanity and would not be interfered with. Therefore, he didn't investigate further. If he had really investigated, Yi Tian's time talent would have been exposed. After all, once the divine sense of a universal god swept through the sacred saber realm, Yi Tian's time talent would have nowhere to hide. In the blink of an eye, another month and a half passed. On this day, Yi Tian's Saber Dao realm finally reached 90%. It's done. Yi Tian was extremely excited. Reaching 90% in the Saber Dao realm meant he could cultivate a supreme-level saber technique to the perfected realm. Begin cultivating the Heartless God Saber technique. Yi Tian emerged from his cave dwelling and repeatedly executed the Heartless God Saber technique, aiming to elevate it from the minor achievement realm to the perfected realm. In a place like the Sacred Saber realm, the progress of cultivating the Heartless God Saber technique was incredibly fast. In just 6 days, Yi Tian successfully cultivated the Heartless God Saber technique to the perfected realm. At this point, Yi Tian's strength surged. Based on his estimation, his strength should be very close to that of a second-tier peak child of the universe. With about 10 days left, Yi Tian did not waste this time. His consciousness immersed in the depths of his soul, he saw that one heavenly character. Saber. This heavenly character seemed to open up an independent soul space within Yi Tian's soul. There was a time when Yi Tian's realm in the Saber Dao was relatively low, and he could not understand the principles and ultimate truths contained in this heavenly Saber Dao character at all. It was like a primary school student looking at university textbooks, completely baffled and unable to understand. But now that Yi Tian's Saber Dao realm had reached 90%, looking at this heavenly Saber Dao character, he suddenly had a moment of enlightenment. The saber principles that were incomprehensible before were now gradually understood. Merge. Yi Tian's soul core slowly began to merge with this heavenly Saber Dao character. Only by doing so could he fully occupy this heavenly Saber Dao character and use it to deduce a Saber Dao ultimate technique. With a rumble, the heavenly Saber Dao character slowly merged into Yi Tian's soul core, becoming a permanent part of his soul. When the heavenly Saber Dao character was completely integrated by Yi Tian, he opened his eyes and suddenly found that the whole world seemed different. He could clearly see the saber principles between heaven and earth, as if he had risen above them, able to control all saber principles at will. This was just an illusion, a beginning illusion of Yi Tian merging with the heavenly Saber Dao character. However, Yi Tian clearly sensed a path of the Saber Dao, enlightening him on how to comprehend the Saber Dao realm beyond 90%. Even with the heavenly Saber Dao character, I am far from being able to deduce a Saber Dao ultimate technique. My foundation is far from sufficient. Yi Tian felt that he could further cultivate some saber techniques, browse through more saber techniques and Saber Dao secret arts, and increase his foundation as much as possible. Only by doing so could he truly deduce a Saber Dao ultimate technique. Soon, the time came. Yi Tian had spent 3 months comprehending and cultivating in the sacred saber realm and had to leave. Immediately, Yi Tian arrived at the teleportation gate of the sacred saber realm and left through it. Back in the sacred saber city, Yi Tian did not linger there but returned directly to the Supreme Hall of Humanity. After returning to the Supreme Hall of Humanity, Yi Tian asked Xia to purchase chaotic resources. Now, he possessed nearly 10,000 points, enough to buy a large amount of chaotic resources. In a short while, Xia bought nearly 300 points worth of chaotic resources. With so many chaotic resources, Yi Tian had enough to cultivate for a long time. In the following days, Yi Tian began a frenzy of cultivation. He was constantly cultivating the chaotic body refining technique, and with the acceleration of time, he almost consumed one batch of chaotic resources every half a month. Thus, 3 years passed. The chaotic resources worth 300 points had been completely consumed by Yi Tian. By this time, Yi Tian had successfully cultivated the chaotic body refining technique to the peak of the entry-level realm, just one step away from the minor achievement realm. I'll go to the Phantom World Battle Tower to test my strength. He wasn't sure how strong he had become, but he was definitely at the second-tier peak child of the universe level. In the Phantom World, at the Battle Tower, Yi Tian arrived at the 5th floor and soon engaged in combat with 10 black-clad warriors. In just a short time, he had slain all 10 black-clad warriors, successfully passing the 5th floor of the Battle Tower and earning 160 points. Then, Yi Tian continued to challenge the 6th floor of the Battle Tower. However, this time, Yi Tian failed. He didn't even manage to kill a single black-clad warrior and was defeated in just 1 minute. This showed that he was still far from the strength of a first-tier peak child of the universe. On this day, Yi Tian prepared to apply for entry into the Chaos Tower for cultivation. The Chaos Tower was a special cultivation tower of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, not located in the Yellow region, and even Yi Tian wasn't sure of its exact location, nor was Xia. There are many cultivation towers similar to the Chaos Tower, such as the Flame Tower and the Ice Tower. In short, these special cultivation towers were prepared for the cultivation of divine cannons. Whenever a prince had cultivated a divine canon to the peak of the entry level and was ready to break through to the minor achievement realm, they could apply to enter these special cultivation towers to attempt the breakthrough. Of course, entering these special cultivation towers required the expenditure of points. 100 points per entry. It seemed a lot, but it was actually quite cheap. In reality, the cost paid by the peak of humanity to enter and cultivate there far exceeded 100 points. Yi Tian's chaotic body refining technique had already been cultivated to the peak of the entry level. It would be extremely difficult to use ordinary chaotic resources to break through to the minor achievement realm, so he must rely on the Chaos Tower for the breakthrough. Once he broke through to the minor achievement realm, Yi Tian's chaotic body would transform, and his physique, yuan force, and soul would undergo a drastic change. And the minor achievement realm of the chaotic body refining technique was equivalent to the major achievement realm of some ordinary divine canons. By then, Yi Tian's strength would be enough to step into the first-tier peak child of the universe level. Chapter 469, The Shock of the Six Enforcers. TL. Etude. Yi Tian submitted his application to enter the Chaos Tower for cultivation in the Phantom World and then quietly awaited the outcome. Opening the Chaos Tower was no small matter, and the high-ranking members of the yellow tier areas in the Supreme Hall of Humanity definitely needed to discuss it. Moreover, the Chaos Tower was different from other cultivation towers. It had been a long time since anyone had cultivated the Chaos Body Refining technique, so naturally, the tower hadn't been opened for ages. This time, Yi Tian's sudden application to enter the Chaos Tower for cultivation likely caused quite a stir. In the Supreme Hall of Humanity, within the Enforcer Hall. The Enforcer Hall was the area where the enforcers resided, including those from the Yellow Tier, Profound Tier, Earth Tier, and Heaven Tier internal hall areas. It could be said that the Enforcer Hall was also a very powerful institution within the internal halls. Enforcers were divided into junior enforcers, senior enforcers, the hall master, and 3 deputy hall masters. Last time, the 6 junior enforcers from the Yellow Tier area were responsible for opening the Divine Canon Festival. At this moment, within a room in the Enforcer Hall, 6 enforcers were in discussion. These 6 enforcers were the ones who had been responsible for the Divine Canon Festival last time. Among them, the leader was none other than Lord Dantai. By now, all 6 universe gods had become aware of Yi Tian's application and were holding a meeting. Prince Yi Tian from the Yellow Tier area has just submitted an application to enter the Chaos Tower for cultivation. Lord Dantai began. freewebnovel.com. To enter the Chaos Tower for cultivation, one must cultivate the Chaos Body Refining technique to the peak of the beginner level. It hasn't been long since then, and not only has Prince Yi Tian cultivated the Chaos Body Refining technique, but he has also brought it to the peak of the beginner level. I find this hard to believe. Indeed, the speed is too fast. In the past, those princes who were qualified to cultivate the Chaos Body Refining technique also took a long time to reach the beginner level. The Chaos Body Refining technique is a supreme divine canon, and among the supreme divine canons, it is the most powerful. It's not so easy to cultivate successfully. Should we reject Prince Yi Tian's application? We can't reject it outright. According to the rules, we must first test him. Only after confirmation can we decide whether to reject the application. Alright, let's conduct the test. Just in case, he really has reached the peak of the beginner level in the Chaos Body Refining technique, then we must open the Chaos Tower. Of course, after the 6 enforcers finished their discussion, they notified Yi Tian to come to the Enforcer Hall for testing. The Enforcer Hall, asking me for a test. Yi Tian looked at the message sent from the Enforcer Hall and quickly called for Xia. Xia, take me to the Enforcer Hall. Yi Tian instructed. Master, the Enforcer Hall is an important institution of the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Xia doesn't have the permission to enter the Enforcer Hall. Xia explained. I have already applied to enter the Chaos Tower for cultivation, and the Enforcer Hall has agreed. Yi Tian stated. Master, in that case, I also need to apply for permission, or else I can't take you to the Enforcer Hall. Xia mentioned. Xia's application was simple. In a blink of an eye, she had completed the application in just a few seconds. The application has been approved, Master. I'll take you there now. Xia opened a spatial door and led Yi Tian through it. Soon, Yi Tian arrived at the main entrance of the Enforcer Hall. The Grand Enforcer Hall, like an ancient beast, exuded a majestic aura that deeply shook Yi Tian. Such a building was not a common structure, but a powerful artifact that surpassed top-grade divine artifacts. There was no one guarding the door of the Enforcer Hall, as it was the residence of the enforcers. The enforcers were universe god realm beings or even more powerful existences, so naturally, there was no need for doorkeepers. Just as Yi Tian was about to call out, a voice descended. Come in. Before Yi Tian could react, he found himself within a hall. At this moment, a universe god stood before Yi Tian. Yi Tian recognized the figure and respectfully said, "Greetings to Lord Dantai." Lord Dantai nodded slightly and then said, "Prince Yi Tian, have you really cultivated the chaos body refining technique to the peak of the beginner level? If you have falsely reported this and wasted our time, you will need to be punished." "I have indeed cultivated the chaos body refining technique to the second layer's peak, which is the peak of the beginner level," Yi Tian truthfully replied. "Then demonstrate the chaos body refining technique here. If you have truly cultivated it to the peak of the beginner level, then we in the Enforcer Hall will open the Chaos Tower for you, allowing you to enter for cultivation," Lord Dantai promised. "As you wish." Yi Tian sat cross-legged and began to operate the chaos body refining technique. Boom. As the chaos body refining technique operated, Yi Tian's chaos body absorbed the chaotic yuan qi from the surroundings. Lord Dantai, being a universe god, was an extremely powerful being. Although he had not cultivated the chaos body refining technique himself, he had seen princes cultivate it a long time ago. Therefore, he could determine the realm of Yi Tian's current chaos body refining technique at a glance. He really has reached the peak of the second layer in the chaos body refining technique. How did he cultivate it? Lord Dantai was immensely shocked. It was the first time he saw a prince cultivate the chaos body refining technique to the peak of the beginner level so swiftly, far surpassing any other prince before. Originally, he thought Yi Tian's choice to cultivate the chaos body refining technique was a mistake. Now, he realized he was the one who was mistaken. Yi Tian was exceptionally suited to cultivate the chaos body refining technique. It was as if the art was tailor-made for him. This prince of 10,000 laws is almost certain to be able to cultivate the chaos body refining technique to the third level, which signifies minor completion. If he can cultivate it to the fifth level, reaching major completion, it would definitely be more powerful than the perfected realm of an ordinary divine canon. However, Lord Dantai also knew that cultivating the chaos body refining technique required specific conditions. It was manageable at the beginner level, requiring only 7 divine grade attribute talents. To cultivate it to the major completion, one must possess 10 divine grade attribute talents, and to reach the perfected realm, 12 divine grade all attribute talents were necessary. He didn't believe that Yi Tian possessed divine grade space and time talents, otherwise, Yi Tian's combat power would have been outrageously strong. But as long as Yi Tian could cultivate it to the major completion, that would be enough to surpass the princes who have perfected ordinary divine canons. Thus, Lord Dantai inquired, "Prince of 10,000 laws, are you confident in cultivating the chaos body refining technique to the major completion in the future?" "Yes," Yi Tian replied with certainty. Lord Dantai's question was also to confirm whether Yi Tian was worth nurturing. Seeing Yi Tian's confidence, he planned to propose to the higher-ups afterward to provide Yi Tian with suitable opportunities. Of course, this was not special treatment but offering an opportunity. Whether Yi Tian could seize it was up to him. "Prince of 10,000 laws, please wait here. I will discuss with the other enforcers and then prepare to open the Chaos Tower. Since opening the Chaos Tower takes some time, please wait a bit longer," Lord Dantai said and then disappeared. Yi Tian stood there, waiting silently. On the other side, Lord Dantai met with the other 5 enforcers. "Lord Dantai, how did it go?" one of the enforcers asked. "Prince of 10,000 laws has indeed cultivated the chaos body refining technique to the peak of the beginner level, that is, the peak of the second level of the chaos body refining technique. I can confirm it without a doubt." Lord Dantai spoke with a tone of surprise. "It's true." The other 5 enforcers were astounded. This news was shocking. "Let's check his combat records in the battle tower to see his strength," one of the universe gods suggested. Normally, enforcers couldn't inquire about the prince's strength in the battle tower, as that was managed by another institution, the War Hall of the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Enforcers didn't have jurisdiction over the War Hall, but if several enforcers used their authority, they could still pull up all the data of a prince, albeit limited to peak child of the universe and ordinary child of the universe in the yellow tier area. If Yi Tian were an eternal child of the universe, even the enforcers wouldn't have the authority to pull up Yi Tian's data. Eternal children of the universe were the true treasures and core elites of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, receiving special attention and even possessing special permissions. Unfortunately, there were no eternal children of the universe in the yellow tier area at the moment. The fall of the original three eternal children of the universe was a great blow to the Supreme Hall of Humanity. This time, the Supreme Hall of Humanity was recruiting children of the universe extensively, hoping to nurture an eternal child of the universe, so as not to embarrass themselves in the Emperor level in the grand event more than 90 years later. Agreed. Seconded. All 6 enforcers agreed and then applied to the War Hall to pull the data. Soon, the War Hall agreed. Then, a set of data was transmitted over. After reading the data, the 6 enforcers were stunned. Battle Tower Records, cleared the 5th level, possesses the strength of a second-tier peak child of the universe, points, 798. Lord Dantai was astonished at the data. This kid has only been with us for a few years, and his strength has surged from the 2nd level of the Battle Tower all the way to the 5th level, and where did he get 798 points from? Points were not significant in their eyes, but in the yellow tier area, it was undoubtedly the first. No one had so many points. Because each prince needed points to exchange for opportunities or resources to enhance their strength, even the former eternal children of the universe could hardly save up so many points. When they finished reading the entire set of data, everything became clear. This kid issued a trading message in the Phantom World, selling netherworld stones, and in his trading records, many princes transferred money to him. These points were earned from selling netherworld stones. It seems he has a strong ability to find netherworld stones, managing to find so many. Lord Dantai put down the data. At this point, Yi Tian's strength and talent were unquestionable, absolutely among the top of the top, and having cultivated the Chaos Body Refining Technique to the peak of the beginner level, he naturally qualified to enter the Chaos Tower for cultivation. Let's 6 of us apply to the higher-ups to open the Chaos Tower. Lord Dantai suggested. Agreed, agreed, agreed. The 6 enforcers applied and quickly received a response. Permission granted. Then, the 6 enforcers went to the Chaos Tower, preparing to open the Chaos Tower. Chapter 470. Breakthrough in Chaos Body Refining Technique, Explosive Increase in Strength. TL. Etude. The Chaos Tower was situated in a mysterious space within the Supreme Hall of Humanity, a space that was normally sealed off. Even the enforcers of the hall were not qualified to enter this place. Constructed by the supreme beings of humanity at a great cost, the Chaos Tower was immensely valuable, far surpassing the entire fortune of a universal god. On this occasion, the 6 enforcers did not open the entire Chaos Tower but only its first level. The cost of opening the first level of the Chaos Tower was slightly less, and since only one person was entering the Chaos Tower for cultivation this time, opening the entire tower would have been wasteful. The 6 enforcers appeared around the Chaos Tower and immediately opened the entrance. Then, they activated the tower's array, allowing the first level of the Chaos Tower to start operating. As the entire first level began to operate, chaotic laws filled the area, and the pure essence of chaotic origin permeated the first level. One of the enforcers murmured, "It is rumored that there is a chaos treasure within the Chaos Tower, fought over and seized by the Supremes from a chaotic ancient well at the center of the universe. I wonder if it's true." "It probably is," sighed Lord Dantai. "Alas, we shall never become Supremes in our lifetimes." The other enforcers remained silent. Soon, the first level of the Chaos Tower was fully operational. "Let's go," said Lord Dantai, and the 6 enforcers left the area. In the Hall of Enforcers, Yi Tian saw a figure appear before him. It was Lord Dantai. The Lord Dantai said to Yi Tian, "Prince of 10,000 Laws, the Chaos Tower has been opened. I will take you into the Chaos Tower." "Thank you, Lord Dantai." Yi Tian expressed his gratitude. With a wave of his hand, Lord Dantai transported Yi Tian out of the Hall of Enforcers. In an instant, Yi Tian found himself in a space with a colossal divine tower. The Chaos Tower. Yi Tian saw the 3 ancient characters on the tower door, unmistakably the words, Chaos Tower. "Prince of 10,000 Laws, the Chaos Tower is now open. You can directly enter the first level. Currently, only the first level is accessible, but it's more than enough for you to attempt a breakthrough to the 3rd level of the Chaos Body Refining Technique. Remember, you have only 1 month, as the cost of opening the Chaos Tower is immense, and the energy consumed is beyond your imagination," Lord Dantai reminded him. "Understood." Yi Tian nodded slightly and then walked towards the Chaos Tower. The door to the Chaos Tower was open, and Yi Tian walked in, arriving at the Grand Hall of the first level. As soon as Yi Tian entered, the door of the Chaos Tower automatically closed. The chaotic yuan qi here is so pure, and it even contains the essence of chaotic origin. Yi Tian finally understood the true value of the Chaos Tower. He had only sensed a hint of chaotic origin once before in the ancient well of the Origin Realm but hadn't absorbed it. If he had recklessly entered the ancient well, he would have been trapped in an unknown space and torn apart by the terrifying chaotic forces. With so much chaotic origin essence, if I cultivate here for a month, I can easily break through to the third level of the chaos body refining technique. If I activate my time talent, I might even reach the fourth level. Yi Tian thought to himself. Immediately, he sat cross-legged, activated his time talent, and started practicing the chaos body refining technique. Countless streams of pure chaotic yuan qi and essence flowed into Yi Tian's body, absorbed and refined by him, advancing his chaos body and the chaos body refining technique. At that moment, Yi Tian's previously stagnant physical body and yuan force began to slowly improve. As time passed, half a day later, Yi Tian had been cultivating for almost half a month under his time talent, reaching a critical point. Time to break through. Yi Tian started from the second level of the chaos body refining technique, progressing slowly to the third. At a certain moment, Yi Tian's technique finally broke through. Instantly, his entire body began to transform. At this time, even more chaotic yuan qi was absorbed by Yi Tian, turning into the energy needed for his body's transformation. At that moment, Yi Tian finally understood just how significant the improvement from the introductory to the minor achievement stage of the chaos body refining technique was. It was beyond anything he could have previously imagined. The strength of a child of the universe primarily increases through divine canons, with progress in the scriptures being of utmost importance. It's only through these divine canons that a child of the universe can ascend to the level of an eternal child of the universe. Double, triple, quadruple, quintuple. After a long time, Yi Tian's transformation finally concluded. Upon checking, he found that his physical body had increased tenfold, and both his yuan force and soul strength had also significantly improved. A single breakthrough had transformed his strength. Now, I should possess the strength of a peak first-tier child of the universe, but I'm still far from reaching the level of an eternal child of the universe. Yi Tian was aware of the rough strength of an eternal child of the universe, which far exceeded that of peak-tier children of the universe. Even numerous peak-tier children of the universe could not match a single eternal child of the universe. It could be said that the importance of an eternal child of the universe could not be compared with that of a peak-tier child of the universe. Continue cultivating. Yi Tian operated the third level of the chaos body refining technique, absorbing the chaotic yuan qi and the essence of chaotic origin from the first level of the chaos tower. Less than a day had passed, and he could still cultivate in the chaos tower for 29 more days. With these 29 days, especially when using his time talent, he had ample time to significantly advance his chaos body refining technique and even potentially break through to the fourth level. However, this scenario was based on the continuous supply of chaotic yuan qi and chaotic origin. But after just a few days of cultivation, Yi Tian noticed that the chaotic yuan qi in the first level of the chaos tower began to diminish. As he continued to cultivate, the chaotic yuan qi decreased even more, and even the emanating essence of chaotic origin began to fade away. At this point, Yi Tian realized that his idea of taking advantage might not pan out. The first level of the Chaos Tower was indeed opened, but the energy was finite, calculated by the Supreme Hall of Humanity to be sufficient for a prince to break through to the third level of the Chaos Body Refining Technique. After all, the cost of opening the Chaos Tower was too great, and the Supreme Hall of Humanity was not foolish enough to supply endless energy. If that were the case, many princes would try to take advantage. With his time talent proving to be of little use, Yi Tian discontinued its use and earnestly continued his cultivation on the first level of the Chaos Tower. Soon, a month passed. Boom! The doors of the Chaos Tower opened. Yi Tian exited the Chaos Tower, and Lord Dantai appeared to escort him away. Swish! The Lord Dantai brought Yi Tian back to the Hall of Enforcers. Prince of 10,000 Laws, how did it go? Did you successfully break through? Lord Dantai asked expectantly. Fortunately, I made a breakthrough, Yi Tian said as he operated the third level of the Chaos Body Refining Technique. Seeing this, Lord Dantai nodded approvingly. Very good. At this moment, in the eyes of Lord Dantai, Yi Tian was undoubtedly the prince in the yellow grade area of the Supreme Hall of Humanity with the most hope of becoming an eternal child of the universe. Even with his current strength, Yi Tian was undoubtedly among the top two. Keep working hard. Strive to reach the strength of an eternal child of the universe in the next few decades. If possible, advancing to the second tier of eternal children of the universe would be even better. Lord Dantai said meaningfully. I will do my best, Lord Dantai. Yi Tian nodded. He somewhat understood the deity's meaning, being just the weakest eternal child of the universe was not very useful. Last time, the Supreme Hall of Humanity lost 3 eternal children of the universe. The stronger one's strength, the more likely they are to be targeted. Conversely, some weaker children of the universe might survive by sheer luck. If he became an eternal child of the universe but was only at the weakest 3rd tier, it would be even more dangerous, as other alien races, children of the universe would surely target him. Only by becoming a 2nd-tier eternal child of the universe could he have enough strength to face other alien races, eternal children of the universe. Among the children of the universe, a 2nd-tier eternal child of the universe is also considered incredibly powerful and not easily fallen. Yi Tian did not stay long in the Hall of Enforcers but left. As soon as he exited the Hall of Enforcers, Yi Tian began to call for Xia. Xia. Before long, Xia arrived. Master, Xia is here. Xia said. Take me back, Yi Tian commanded. Yes. Xia opened a spatial gate, taking Yi Tian away from there, and they quickly returned to the yellow grade area. As soon as he returned, Yi Tian entered the Phantom World Battle Tower. He prepared to challenge the 6th level of the Battle Tower. If he could pass, he would not only earn 320 points but also prove that his strength had truly reached the 1st tier of a peak child of the universe. Chapter 471, The Ultimate Saber Heart. TL. Etude. In the Phantom World Battle Tower, Yi Tian reached the 7th floor and confronted 10 black-clothed warriors. These warriors surrounded him in a special formation, with 3 of them employing suppressive secret techniques and talents, 3 using illusions, soul attacks, and disruptive secret techniques, and the remaining 4 launching physical attacks. Their coordination was impeccable, a feat difficult to achieve by actual martial warriors. Previously, Yi Tian was overwhelmed by their assault, unable to counterattack and defeated within a minute. However, this time, Yi Tian unleashed his spatial divine abilities right from the start. Now much stronger than before, the power of his spatial abilities surged, breaking through the enemy formation in an instant. Then, with a zoomy palm, he shattered one of the black-clothed warriors, instantly killing him. Subsequently, Yi Tian's perfected Heartless God Saber technique allowed him to swiftly eliminate the remaining warriors. In no time, all 10 black-clothed warriors were slain. Thus, Yi Tian breezed through the 6th floor of the battle tower, earning a reward of 320 points. His strength was now officially recognized by the battle tower as reaching the pinnacle of the 1st tier among the children of the universe. Let's try the 7th floor. Yi Tian advanced to the 7th floor of the battle tower. Soon, a young man dressed in a blue robe appeared. There was only one opponent. Yi Tian knew that the 7th floor of the battle tower featured real opponents, not virtual constructs. Each prince who entered the 7th floor faced different opponents, all of whom were past eternal children of the universe materialized by the tower using special means. Their strength was reduced to the weakest level of the eternal tier, and only by defeating this peak eternal opponent could one be considered to have successfully conquered the 7th floor. Each eternal prince was nearly flawless, excelling in all aspects. Suddenly, the eternal prince made his move, wielding a sword. The strike gave Yi Tian the sensation of unavoidable doom. In an instant, Yi Tian's spatial divine form divine ability was shattered, and he felt as if pierced through in multiple places. Whoosh! A sword pierced through his heart before Yi Tian could even react. It was as if the sword transcended time and space, too swift and powerful to evade. Despite possessing various recovery talents and even the undying talent, Yi Tian couldn't withstand this strike. His body in the phantom world crumbled, marking his defeat. At that moment, he truly understood the might of an eternal child of the universe. And this was merely the weakest among them, the stronger Eternals must be even more formidable. That must be an ultimate sword technique. Yi Tian murmured to himself. Having perfected his supreme saber technique, Yi Tian had a discerning eye. That sword strike was certainly not a perfected supreme sword technique but an ultimate sword technique that was unique to its wielder. Although it seemed flawed compared to the most powerful ultimate sword techniques, it was still remarkable, far surpassing any supreme sword technique. It seems to step into the realm of the eternal children of the universe. I must comprehend my own Saber Dao ultimate technique or master a great divine ability. Moreover, I need to cultivate the chaos body refining technique to the 4th level to have a chance at reaching the strength of an eternal child of the universe. This was no easy task. Despite the vast number of children of the universe in the yellow region, none had reached the eternal tier. The absence of any eternal children of the universe, despite the fall of 3, over such a long period, highlighted the immense challenge. If it were easy, the yellow region would be teeming with Eternals by now. 4 more years until the new King's Task competition. I'll spend the next 4 years refining the Chaos Body refining technique and attempt to develop my own Saber Dao. Yi Tian mused to himself. As for the new king's task competition, he felt no pressure. Among the 103 new princes, none could match him. Thus, for Yi Tian, the new king's task competition was merely a formality. He was poised to claim the title with ease. His sights were set not on the new princes or those in the Yellow region who had long joined the Supreme Hall of Humanity, but on the eternal children of the universe, including those from other races. Setting high goals creates pressure and motivation. Cultivation begins. Yi Tian sent Xia to purchase a batch of high-grade chaos resources and embarked on a lengthy period of intense cultivation. Before he knew it, a year had passed. At this time, Yi Tian's strength had not significantly improved, his physical prowess had only slightly increased from before. However, Yi Tian had made considerable progress in the Saber Dao. He had taken the crucial step in carving out his own Saber Dao path by comprehending the essence of the Saber Heart. In fact, reaching 90% mastery in the Saber Dao realm is considered a minor completion. Mere comprehension could not elevate the Saber Dao any further. For most people, their Saber Dao would cease to advance upon reaching the 90% realm. But Yi Tian was different, thanks to the heavenly Dao characters of the saber, which enabled him to forge his unique Saber Dao. Everyone's Saber Dao is different. Some are about slaughter, some about protection, some about ruthlessness, while my Saber Dao is about being the strongest. I have always pursued the ultimate strength, to surpass all, and thus my Saber Dao is the Dao of the strongest. Yi Tian thought to himself. The Dao of the strongest is quite common among saber wielders, but it's challenging to pursue because they lack the conviction of being the strongest. Strong conviction isn't about merely believing oneself to be the strongest. For instance, some ordinary princes, knowing well they cannot match many others and have no hope of catching up in their lifetimes, how could they cultivate a conviction of being the strongest? Such princes are not suited for the path of the strongest. Forcing themselves onto it would only lead to mediocrity. But Yi Tian was different. With the talent to copy, and possessing the strongest talents in the universe, even if others had stronger talents, he could replicate them, naturally becoming stronger than others. Thus, he was suited for the path of the strongest. Therefore, Yi Tian comprehended his own Saber Dao, the Dao of the strongest, and was about to grasp the essence of the strongest Saber Heart. Once he comprehended the strongest Saber Heart, his Saber Dao realm would step into the 91% realm. Reaching the 91% realm would qualify him to create a Saber Dao ultimate technique. Of course, merely having a 91% mastery in the Saber Dao realm is still far from enough to create an ultimate technique. However, with the heavenly Dao characters of the saber, coupled with his top-tier talent for comprehension and the talent of time, enhancing his Saber Dao realm was not difficult. As for when he could create an ultimate Saber Dao technique, Yi Tian couldn't guarantee. One day, while Yi Tian was contemplating the Saber Dao, he had a sudden epiphany. Instantly, countless saber principles converged within him, gradually forming an ethereal small saber. This ethereal saber, imbued with a trace of the saber's origin and completely merged with Yi Tian, was the embryonic form of the Saber Heart. As time passed, this ethereal saber seemed to solidify, and the aura of the Saber Dao origin grew stronger. Boom! A supreme Saber Dao aura burst forth from Yi Tian, marking the moment he officially comprehended the strongest Saber Heart. Simultaneously, his Saber Dao realm ascended to the 91% realm. With the strongest Saber Heart formed, Yi Tian could perceive deeper principles of the Saber Dao from the heavenly Dao characters of the saber. But this was far from enough. Yi Tian needed to study a vast array of saber techniques and Saber Dao secret arts, drawing on the wisdom of predecessors to perfect his own Dao of the strongest. To Yi Tian's relief, the Heritage Hall in the Phantom World possessed many saber techniques, mostly free of charge. In the outside world, it would have been challenging for Yi Tian to find so many saber techniques. Even if he could, it would likely require a significant amount of time and resources, possibly exhausting all his possessions, which still wouldn't compare to those available in the Heritage Hall of the Supreme Hall of Humanity's Yellow region. Therefore, Yi Tian felt fortunate to have come to the Supreme Hall of Humanity. In the days that followed, apart from his usual cultivation, Yi Tian spent most of his time in the Heritage Hall within the Phantom World. Black iron, bronze, silver, gold, legendary, god level, and super god level saber techniques. Yi Tian progressed from the basic to the advanced, mastering one or even several saber techniques daily. In a short period, Yi Tian had mastered a vast array of saber techniques, accumulating a high level of proficiency in the Saber Dao. Now, he could even effortlessly create several saber techniques. In the Saber Dao, his insights and achievements were comparable to many great masters who had dedicated years to it. 92%, 93% Saber Dao realm. And so, 3 more years passed. By then, Yi Tian had reached the 94% realm in the Saber Dao and had mastered thousands of saber techniques. Additionally, he had expended 300 points worth of chaos resources to significantly advance the 3rd level of the chaos body refining technique. On this day, the new king's task in the yellow region of the Supreme Hall of Humanity was about to begin. Chapter 472, A Breeze Sweep, the new king emerges. TL. Etude. Master, the new king's task is about to start, please enter the phantom world. Zia reminded Yi Tian. Understood. Yi Tian nodded. The new king's tasks always took place in the phantom world, where all the princes participating in this mission would enter the same illusory mission world for a battle royale. The last person standing would be the new king and would receive the rewards of the new king. Of course, the more opponents one defeated, the better the rewards. Swish. Yi Tian entered the phantom world and was quickly placed into the new king's task world by the phantom world. This time, all 103 newly promoted princes participated in this mission. After all, there were no penalties for this mission, and failure was inconsequential. If one was lucky enough to defeat a few princes, even if they rank low, they could still receive substantial rewards. It could be said that this new king's task was entirely a benefit. Not participating would be foolish. Thus, all 103 newly promoted princes joined in. These 103 princes had undergone 10 years of cultivation in the Supreme Hall of Humanity, and no one knew the extent of each other's strength. This mission was not only a challenge for the title of new king but also an opportunity for them to witness the strength of the other princes. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One by one, the princes entered this illusory mission world, and soon all 103 princes were present, scattered throughout the mission world. At that moment, a voice resounded from the void. The new king's task officially begins. Princes, please look at your left wrist, where you will find a wristwatch. This wristwatch can sense the locations of the other princes. Yi Tian looked down at his left wrist. A golden wristwatch suddenly appeared on his wrist, featuring a virtual screen with red dots on it. These red dots represented the princes, with each dot indicating one. This way, no prince could hide. To survive until the end, one had to go through numerous battles. Relying on luck to achieve a good ranking was almost impossible. There's a prince nearby, Yi Tian confirmed through the wristwatch. He immediately flew towards this prince, who seemed to be flying towards Yi Tian as well. In the blink of an eye, the two met. It's him. The prince recognized Yi Tian and became excited. He knew that Yi Tian was the one who had chosen the strongest supreme scripture back then. And that strongest supreme scripture was not only difficult to cultivate, but it had also been many years since anyone had successfully cultivated it. He felt that Yi Tian couldn't have made much progress in just 10 short years and that his strength hadn't increased much. Meanwhile, he had cultivated a common scripture to the entry level and reached the strength of a second-tier ordinary level child of the universe, very close to the first tier. He believed he should be able to defeat Yi Tian. You're doomed to lose. The prince charged over. Yi Tian simply glanced at him indifferently and then executed a strike of the Heartless God Saber technique. Puff! The saber pierced through the body, instantly killing the opponent. In the yellow region, at a certain cultivation tower, the newly promoted Prince Mingao suddenly found himself back in the cultivation room and was stunned. Wasn't I fighting that prince in the mission world? How could I? He couldn't believe it, but he had to accept that he had been killed by the opponent and thus was ejected from the mission world. Who in the world is that guy? How is he so strong? He didn't recognize Yi Tian, as they had all been cultivating during this time, with each prince unwilling to waste even a moment. As such, these newly promoted princes hadn't interacted much with each other, except for that one time, and he had never seen Yi Tian again, naturally not recognizing him. Alas, I didn't expect to be so weak. Prince Mingao thought, deeply shocked. In the mission world, Yi Tian effortlessly killed Mingao and continued to search for other princes. Any prince found by Yi Tian was almost instantly killed. Moreover, with Yi Tian's mystic level spatial talent, his speed was incredibly fast, as was his killing pace. In no time, 10 princes had been eliminated by Yi Tian. As the number of princes in the mission world dwindled, Yi Tian had killed 20 princes. When he checked his wristwatch again, he found only 7 or 8 red dots remaining on the virtual screen, indicating that only that many princes were left. Soon, Yi Tian encountered another prince. This prince was dressed in a set of bronze divine armor, wielding a bronze divine spear. I am Prince Bronze. Prince Bronze introduced himself. I am called Prince of 10,000 Laws. Yi Tian stated indifferently. Prince Bronze seemed quite confident, pointing his spear at Yi Tian. Prince of 10,000 laws, you might as well concede. You may not be aware, but I have recently officially become a peak-level child of the universe. You cannot defeat me. Why don't you try taking one of my strikes first? Yi Tian didn't hold back at all and executed the Heartless God Saber technique with full force. After the strike, Prince Bronze's expression froze, and he stood motionless in the void like a statue. The next moment, Prince Bronze's body collapsed. Although he was a peak-level child of the universe, he was only at the 3rd tier, while Yi Tian was at the 1st tier. The gap in their strengths was too vast. To Yi Tian, Prince Bronze was nothing more than a slightly stronger ant. The following princes Yi Tian encountered were also peak-level children of the universe, but undoubtedly, they were all at the 3rd tier. When Yi Tian met them, they were already engaged in combat with each other. In the end, Yi Tian single-handedly eliminated all of them, sweeping through the competition. There's no one left. Yi Tian looked at his wristwatch, which only showed one red dot, indicating himself. Without a doubt, all the other princes had been eliminated. Congratulations to Prince of 10,000 Laws for becoming the new king. The Phantom World resounded with congratulations. At the same time, all the princes in the Yellow region received the results of this new king's task. In an instant, Yi Tian's reputation spread throughout the entire Yellow region. At a certain cultivation tower, Prince Whitebone looked at the results of the new king's task sent from the Phantom World, with the name Prince of 10,000 Laws standing out prominently. He actually became the new king. Prince Whitebone was quite surprised. Originally, when Yi Tian insisted on choosing that supreme scripture, he thought Yi Tian would fade into obscurity, and even advised him at the time. Unexpectedly, Yi Tian quickly became the new king, completely dominating all the newly promoted princes. What an honor this was! In comparison, he only managed to luckily defeat one prince in the new king's task world before being eliminated by another powerful prince. The gap between him and Yi Tian was too significant. Prince of 10,000 Laws was already the top in the Pan-Star field. I didn't expect that even upon entering the grand stage of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, he would still be at the top. It seems the Legion Lord greatly underestimated Prince of 10,000 Laws. Exclaimed Prince Whitebone. Soon, the rewards for the new king's task were distributed. Although the other princes did not win the title of new king, as long as they defeated a prince in the new king's task world, they would receive some rewards. Most rewards were points, but some also included cultivation resources or inheritance of secret techniques. As for how to choose the rewards, that was up to the individual princes. Yi Tian also received his rewards at this time. His rewards were quite substantial, with several options available. Among them, he was definitely awarded 100 points. The subsequent rewards included a middle-grade divine artifact, a divine ability inheritance, a heavenly Tao character, and a large amount of cultivation resources. These cultivation resources could be converted into points, which would yield 300 points. The middle-grade divine artifact, divine ability inheritance, and heavenly Tao character could be chosen freely, but some particularly precious heavenly Tao characters, such as the characters for time and space, were among the most valuable and could not be chosen. Even if the Supreme Hall of Humanity had these heavenly Tao characters, they would not likely bestow them upon a prince. If a prince who possessed such a character were to fall, it would mean the loss of that heavenly Tao character for the human race. Each heavenly Tao character was extremely precious, with some being obtained by the ancestors of humanity at the cost of their lives, so they could not be wasted. After some consideration, Yi Tian began to choose his rewards. Most of these cultivation resources are useless to me, so I'll convert them into points. That way, I can have an additional 400 points. As for the middle-grade divine artifact, I'll choose a spatial artifact. Middle-grade saber artifacts can still be bought at a great cost, but middle-grade divine artifacts are hard to come by. Obtaining a middle-grade divine artifact would certainly aid my strength. Regarding divine ability inheritance, ordinary ones are useless to me, but spatial divine abilities would be very beneficial. To maximize benefits, I'll choose a spatial divine ability. After making his choices, Yi Tian reported his selection. Then, he quietly awaited the arrival of his rewards. First came the points, which were credited to his account very quickly. About half an hour later, a phantom spirit arrived at Yi Tian's cultivation tower. The rewards had arrived. Chapter 473, The True Path to Supreme Strength. TL. Etude. Prince of 10,000 Laws, this spatial ring contains your reward. A phantom figure arrived at Yi Tian's cultivation tower, handed over the item to Yi Tian, and then departed. Yi Tian opened the spatial ring and found a spatial divine artifact, a divine ability inheritance bead, and a scroll. He took out the scroll and opened it to reveal just one word. Metal. The word, metal, represented the heavenly Tao character for metal, which was the character Yi Tian had chosen. To master the 5 elements' great divine ability, one needed the heavenly Tao characters for metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Unable to obtain all 5 characters at once, he had chosen the character for metal as a good starting point. Next, he only needed to collect the other 4 characters to begin cultivating the 5 elements' great divine ability. Unfortunately, divine abilities related to the metal element are quite rare. Although the Supreme Hall of Humanity does have inheritances for metal element divine abilities, they are very expensive, even more so than the 5 elements great divine ability, because rarity increases value. Moreover, even if I were to exchange for a metal element divine ability, just one metal heavenly Tao character would not be sufficient to cultivate it. Yi Tian sighed. Although the divine ability of the metal element only required the metal heavenly Tao character, just one character was not enough. The metal heavenly Tao character was a common one in the universe, but each character had a different meaning. For example, some represented sharpness and offensive power, others defense, and some the indestructibility of metal. There were simply too many variations. To cultivate a divine ability of the metal element, at least 3 different metal heavenly Tao characters were needed. For Yi Tian, the power of the 5 elements' great divine ability far exceeded that of a single element metal divine ability. Since a single metal heavenly Tao character could not enable him to cultivate a metal element divine ability, it would be a waste to spend so many points to exchange for one. Although collecting the characters for wood, water, fire, and earth might be slightly more complex, it was possible to gather them all eventually. First, I'll inherit this metal heavenly Tao character. Yi Tian's consciousness entered the scroll, transporting him to a world of metal. Boom! A majestic metal character appeared in Yi Tian's consciousness. He slowly approached the heavenly Tao character and soon touched it. Absorb. The metal heavenly Tao character instantly entered Yi Tian's soul, creating a soul space within its depths. The essence of the metal character gradually converged there, making it difficult for outsiders to detect its presence. Immersed in the essence of the metal heavenly Tao character, Yi Tian sensed its representation of aggression. This was an offensive metal heavenly Tao character, suitable for aggressive metal element divine abilities. With the metal heavenly Tao character now within Yi Tian's soul, the scroll became redundant. However, the material of the scroll was extraordinary, so he casually threw it into his personal Zumi storage realm. Next, Yi Tian picked up the divine ability inheritance bead and immersed his consciousness in it. This inheritance required an oath not to be shared. After making the oath, Yi Tian received the contents of the divine ability. Thousand-layer realm. Yi Tian carefully reviewed the mysteries of the thousand-layer realm divine ability and was astounded by its power. This divine ability was formidable, comparable to the spatial divine form. Its utility lay not in space manipulation but in trapping enemies. Once the initial stages of the thousand-layer realm were mastered, it could create 1,000 layers of spatial barriers, exerting unimaginable spatial pressure on enemies. If cultivated to perfection, it could form 10,000 layers of barriers, with unimaginable power. Enemies would find it nearly impossible to break through, unless their strength was much greater than Yi Tian's. This divine ability is impressive. The Supreme Hall of Humanity has also provided spatial amethyst and crystal realm stones, enabling me to cultivate this spatial divine ability. Once mastered, it will significantly enhance my strength. Pleased with this divine ability, Yi Tian then examined the spatial divine artifact. This artifact was not an amplification type but an escape type, the Zilling Divine Shuttle. The Zilling Divine Shuttle, a mid-grade spatial divine artifact, could merge with a cosmic spaceship, transforming it into a spatial artifact vessel. Not only would it retain the functions of a cosmic spaceship, but it could also instantly activate to traverse the void and break through blockades, making it an excellent tool for escape. Moreover, the defense of the Zilling Divine Shuttle was comparable to a 7-star cosmic spaceship, capable of withstanding attacks from great god-level powerhouses. Possessing the Zilling Divine Shuttle meant that unless trapped, one could even evade the pursuit of great god-level powerhouses. Of course, if trapped, the Zilling Divine Shuttle would be nothing more than a breakable toy in the eyes of great god-level powerhouses, with little utility. After organizing his rewards from the New King event, Yi Tian was very satisfied. To think that I gained so much just from becoming the new king, the Supreme Hall of Humanity is indeed generous. According to the cultivation system of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, there will be another great opportunity in 10 years. I hope to elevate my strength to the level of an eternal child of the universe within this decade. Yi Tian hoped. In the following days, Yi Tian began cultivating the 1,000-layer realm spatial divine ability. In just 1 or 2 months, he successfully cultivated the 1,000-layer realm to the initial stage, which was his current limit. The ability to cultivate divine abilities at the mystic level was already the limit for those with spatial talents. To advance to the minor achievement realm and beyond, one must possess a god-level spatial talent. This was one of the reasons why Yi Tian had been unable to comprehend the spatial divine form to the minor achievement realm. Had he possessed a god-level spatial talent, he would have swiftly elevated the level of his spatial divine abilities with the opportunities provided by the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Having mastered the initial stages of the 1,000-layer realm, Yi Tian shifted his focus to creating an ultimate saber technique and cultivating the chaos refinement body technique. Once he created the ultimate saber technique and cultivated the chaos refinement body technique to the 4th layer, he would undoubtedly ascend to the strength level of an eternal child of the universe. This was why he concentrated his efforts in these 2 areas. For cultivating the chaos refinement body technique, Yi Tian had no tricks up his sleeve and could only use points to purchase high-grade chaos resources. Apart from cultivating the chaos refinement body technique, Yi Tian spent his other time comprehending the saber Dao, cultivating various saber techniques, and attempting to create an ultimate saber technique. As time passed, years went by. In the blink of an eye, 8 years had passed. My understanding of the saber Dao has reached 97%, and I have cultivated tens of thousands of saber techniques. My ultimate saber heart has also become much stronger, but unfortunately, I still haven't been able to create the ultimate saber technique. Why is that? Yi Tian was puzzled. For half a month, he was in deep thought, and if his mental state weren't strong, he might have gone mad from obsession. Thus, one day, he entered the Inheritance Pagoda. This time, he didn't go to the first 3 free levels but headed to the higher levels, hoping to gain insights from those precious books. He only looked at books related to the saber Dao. Yi Tian spent points to examine one book after another, but each time, he was disappointed. Gradually, Yi Tian had spent 300 to 400 points in the Inheritance Pagoda. On the 6th level of the pagoda, a relatively simple book caught Yi Tian's attention. The Path to Ultimate Strength. This wasn't specifically about the saber Dao, but it mentioned the path to ultimate strength, and Yi Tian was pursuing the path of the ultimate saber Dao. 500 points. Yi Tian was shocked by the price displayed on the shelf. 50 points could purchase 2 divine ability inheritances, and even if used to buy resources, they would be enough for him to cultivate for a long time. Yet, just to look at this book, 500 points were required, which seemed excessively expensive. Buy. Yi Tian gritted his teeth and decided. If he truly gained something from it, it would be a huge win. Immediately, Yi Tian explained his intentions to the guarding phantom spirit, Hong Ling, in the Inheritance Pagoda, and successfully retrieved the book from the screen. He opened the book. As soon as the book was opened, Yi Tian's consciousness was instantly pulled into a void. Boom! A man whose face couldn't be seen appeared, seeming both near and far. He sat cross-legged, as if speaking to countless people about the path to ultimate strength. The path to ultimate strength is difficult, difficult, difficult. To walk the path of ultimate strength, one must be invincible among peers to truly step onto the path of ultimate strength, rather than just in one's heart. Being strong in one's heart is merely the threshold, one hasn't truly entered the door. The mysterious man spoke a lot, and Yi Tian, listening to his words, was flooded with insights. The man didn't speak of any secret techniques but explained how to walk the path of ultimate strength, what to do, the detours, and the principles of ultimate strength. Had an ordinary person said these words, Yi Tian might not have felt much, but coming from this person, it was like an enlightening baptism. He understood every word. About 10 minutes passed, and after the man finished speaking, Yi Tian's consciousness was pulled back. At that moment, he looked at the book and found that he had just finished it. What a marvelous technique! Yi Tian exclaimed inwardly. He flipped through the book again, and the content was exactly the same as what the mysterious man had said, but the imagery was gone. Yi Tian closed his eyes, immersing himself in the scenes from before, carefully contemplating the man's words. After a long time, Yi Tian opened his eyes, which were now filled with clarity. He finally understood why he had been unable to create an ultimate saber technique. Other saber wielders might have already created their ultimate techniques in his situation, but he hadn't been able to because he was pursuing the path of ultimate strength in the saber Dao. Although his ultimate saber heart had successfully condensed, he hadn't received recognition from the heavens and earth or from other humans. The path to ultimate strength inherently required one to be invincible among peers, and he had only defeated some newly minted princes, far from achieving invincibility among his peers. My next goal is to sweep through all the children of the universe among humans, truly achieve invincibility among humanity, consolidate the path to ultimate strength, and create the ultimate saber technique. Yi Tian's eyes became clearer and clearer, and an aura of ultimate strength emanated from him. Chapter 474. Initiating the challenge, the yellow region trembles. TL. Etude. At the Supreme Hall of Humanity, in the yellow region by the Bai Bo Lake, Yi Tian arrived once again. This place was renowned as the best cultivation site within the yellow region. There were a total of 10 cultivation towers here, of which 5 were already occupied by 5 princes. Previously, Yi Tian was unaware of the strength required to enter this place, but now, he had come to understand. A second-tier peak child of the universe could pass through the various assessments of the cultivation towers here and take up residence. Yi Tian, with his current strength, naturally breezed through the assessments of the cultivation tower here. The reason he hadn't come sooner was due to his comfort at the cultivation tower in the Tongbei Mountains, so he wasn't in a hurry to come here. However, now that he was prepared to consolidate the strongest path, he naturally sought to reside in the best cultivation tower, sweeping through all the princes and truly becoming invincible among the emperor-level children of the universe. Thus, he came. Yi Tian chose an unoccupied cultivation tower, entered it, and soon passed through it. Boom! The cultivation tower released a massive amount of light, shooting up into the sky, signifying that it now had an owner. This spectacle caught the attention of the other 5 princes at Bai Bo Lake. Instantly, one by one, the princes came out. At this moment, Yi Tian also stepped out of the high-level cultivation tower and, with a thought, inscribed 3 words on the tower's plaque. 10,000 Laws Tower. These 3 words declared this tower as the cultivation tower of Prince of 10,000 Laws. So, it's the Prince of 10,000 Laws. The 5 princes crossed Bai Bo Lake and came before Yi Tian. Yi Tian glanced over and recognized only 3 of the princes, whom he knew from trading netherworld stones with them. As for the other 2 princes, he didn't know them but understood their talents and names after a quick use of his copy talent ability. Among these 5 princes, the strongest was the first-tier peak child of the universe, His Highness Prince Holy Heaven, while the other 4 were second-tier peak children of the universe, namely His Highness Yun Chong, His Highness Feng Long, His Highness Si Hun, and His Highness Wu Ying. These 5 were among the most renowned princes in the yellow region, but whether they were the strongest was something Yi Tian dared not confirm. After all, some princes were very low profile, and a breakthrough in any area might allow them to match or even surpass these few princes. Greetings to all the princes. Yi Tian greeted them with a slight nod. Ha ha ha, now that Prince of 10,000 Laws is here, we can interact more in the future. Exclaimed Prince Feng Long with a laugh. The other princes also showed goodwill towards Yi Tian, understanding the immense potential he had demonstrated by rapidly ascending to their level from being a newly ascended prince. They naturally wanted to foster a good relationship, especially since he had the potential to become an eternal level prince in the future. However, at that moment, Yi Tian spoke indifferently. Princes, what I am about to say may offend you, but I hope you can understand. I am pursuing the strongest path, but I have hit a bottleneck. I plan to challenge all the princes in the yellow region. I will apply for a battle realm in the phantom world, where any prince can come to watch or challenge me. If anyone can defeat me, they will be rewarded with 100 points. If they lose, they won't have to pay anything. What? The 5 princes were shocked by Yi Tian's declaration. Prince of 10,000 Laws, isn't this a bit too arrogant? Prince Si Hun said discontentedly. I need to verify my path. If you princes are dissatisfied, you are welcome to challenge me at that time. Yi Tian stated fearlessly. Then, Prince Holy Heaven spoke. Prince of 10,000 Laws, although I don't understand why your strongest path requires this, you have your path, and we have ours. You are not the only one pursuing the strongest path. By doing this, you are suppressing others' paths. I will personally defeat you when the time comes. You are welcome too, Yi Tian replied with a slight smile. Swish, the 5 princes turned and left one after another, no longer entering Yi Tian's tower as guests. Yi Tian understood the reaction of the 5 princes. After all, they had come to congratulate him, and he ended up declaring his intention to sweep through the entire yellow region, effectively challenging them. As princes, each with their own pride, it would be embarrassing to be swept away by a newly ascended prince of the Supreme Hall of Humanity. Thus, Yi Tian was now in opposition to them, and it was no surprise they didn't show any good feelings towards him. Soon, the news of Yi Tian's challenge to all princes spread. Instantly, it attracted the attention of many princes. The chance to challenge Yi Tian, with a victory yielding 100 points and no penalty for losing, seemed too good to be true. Many princes signed up, including some new princes who thought they might get lucky or catch Yi Tian in a weak state and possibly win by chance. Of course, such thoughts were fanciful, but there was no harm in signing up. Yi Tian's challenge to all princes in the Yellow region had a significant impact, and the Hall of Enforcers, which had been monitoring Yi Tian's situation, also became aware of it. At the Hall of Enforcers, Lord Dantai and several enforcers were discussing Yi Tian. The Prince of 10,000 Laws intends to challenge all the princes in the Yellow region, one of the enforcers remarked with surprise. Does Prince of 10,000 Laws gain any benefits from doing this? It seems he would only offend other princes, another enforcer frowned. Lord Dantai pondered for a moment, then suddenly said, he must be doing it to consolidate his strongest path. I once had the privilege of hearing a supreme mention that, in any era, only one individual can truly consolidate the strongest path. The others, at most, reach the threshold and serve merely as a backdrop. Prince of 10,000 Laws must have encountered a bottleneck in his strongest path and seeks to sweep through the princes of humanity to become the strongest among them. This way, he can break through the bottleneck and consolidate his own strongest path. The other enforcers, upon hearing this, had a sudden realization. Prince of 10,000 Laws has actually reached this step. With this in view, it won't be long before he becomes an eternal child of the universe. Yes, almost every prince who has become an eternal child of the universe has carved out their own path. If Prince of 10,000 Laws also fully embarks on his own path, it would mean he has stepped into the threshold of becoming an eternal level prince. I originally thought it would take him many more years to reach this step. Let's hope he can truly step out. This way, our Supreme Hall of Humanity could give birth to another eternal child of the universe and not lose face. The discussion among the 6 enforcers soon concluded. In the Yellow region, Yi Tian had moved from the cultivation tower in the Tongbei Mountains to the one at Baibo Lake. Phantom Spirit Zia, who was very excited about the move. Although she couldn't cultivate, she also wanted to settle in Baibo Lake, which was a symbol of status. Every prince had a phantom spirit, and these phantom spirits generally knew each other. Zia had always lived in the cultivation tower in the Tongbei Mountains, which was far inferior to those at Baibo Lake. She would even feel embarrassed to greet those living at Baibo Lake. But now, she too had come to Baibo Lake, and with such a powerful master, her vanity was completely satisfied, naturally making her happy. Among the phantom spirits, there were also circles, and on the first day of the successful move, she boasted about it in the circle of phantom spirits. Instantly, many phantom spirits began to envy Zia, saying she was lucky to have met such a powerful and impressive prince. One day, Yi Tian's request to apply for a battle realm in the phantom world was approved, but it required a payment of 100 points. A mere 100 points were nothing to Yi Tian, who immediately made the payment. Then, a battle realm was created, constructed entirely according to Yi Tian's requirements. The moment the battle realm was created, Yi Tian informed all the princes. From now on, I will be waiting in the battle realm, and any prince can choose to battle me. Yi Tian's message was received by all the princes. Subsequently, Yi Tian entered the battle realm, sat cross-legged, and waited for the challenges from other princes. Meanwhile, one by one, the princes entered the battle realm to observe the battle, not immediately challenging Yi Tian. Swish! A prince entered the battlefield and challenged Yi Tian. Prince of 10,000 Laws, I am Prince Wang Yu, here to challenge Prince of 10,000 Laws. Make your move. Yi Tian gestured invitingly, showing no sign of seriousness, clearly not taking Prince Wang Yu seriously. This scene angered Prince Wang Yu. HMPH, you dare to underestimate me. Prince Wang Yu immediately made a move, his palm crushing down. This was clearly a superior palm technique at the minor completion realm. Annihilate. Yi Tian spoke indifferently, wielding his saber, and made a void slash. PFF'd. A single slash killed Prince Wang Yu instantly, his body disintegrating. Hiss. Many princes gasped. They also knew Prince Wang Yu, who was a third-tier peak child of the universe, but now he had been instantly killed by Yi Tian. So strong, no wonder he dared to initiate such a challenge. Many princes secretly exclaimed in admiration. Chapter 475, The Final Battle. TL. Etude. The Pinnacle Showdown. Who else wants to challenge me? Come forth. Yi Tian stood with his saber, declaring boldly. Whoosh! Another prince entered the arena, the Prince of Illusions, whose strength was even greater than that of Prince Wang Yu. He was not only a master of illusions but had also cultivated a divine ability in illusion techniques. Typically, peak third-tier children of the universe didn't want to encounter the Prince of Illusions because they were easily suppressed by him. Once caught in the illusion techniques, if one couldn't break free and had slightly weaker defenses, they would definitely suffer a severe blow and might even fall. As soon as the Prince of Illusions made his move, he cast the illusory divine realm. Boom! Yi Tian was immediately enveloped by the illusory divine realm, falling into the Prince of Illusions' magical art. However, at this moment, Yi Tian activated his zoomy eyes, yet he couldn't see through this magical art. Interesting. It seems my zoomy eyes are still lacking in level. Had you been a first-tier peak child of the universe, I might have been somewhat wary, but you are merely a third-tier peak child of the universe. Yi Tian activated his spatial divine form divine ability, unleashing terrifying power. Crack! The illusory divine realm shattered under Yi Tian's formidable force. When strength reached a certain level, even illusions would crumble. As the illusory divine realm shattered, the Prince of Illusions was shocked. Before he could react, the tip of a saber pierced through his body. Another swift defeat. The Prince of Illusions was defeated. Subsequently, one prince after another attempted to challenge Yi Tian but were defeated in succession. Even the princes with peculiar talents could only withstand one move, and would be defeated by the second. Yi Tian's strength was beyond all the prince's expectations. Finally, a second-tier peak child of the universe stepped forward. Prince Si Hun. Yi Tian looked at the prince standing before him, who was one of the 5 princes from Bai Bo Lake. Prince of 10,000 Laws, I challenge you. Prince Si Hun said solemnly. Please proceed. Yi Tian responded. In truth, Prince Si Hun had no confidence, but he had to make a move. He needed to probe Yi Tian's strength to increase Prince Holy Heaven's chances of victory. Otherwise, if all the princes in the yellow region were swept away by Yi Tian, it would be a loss of face for them. Whoosh! Prince Si Hun became invisible, using a top-tier invisibility talent. He had also cultivated a special invisibility secret technique in combination with his talent, making his invisibility very effective. If such a tactic was used during a duel, even if the opponent could discern it, a slight oversight would give the initiator the upper hand. To use invisibility in front of a mystic-level space talent holder is laughable. Yi Tian immediately entered a state of spatial invisibility, which was even more thorough than the invisibility talent. He didn't need to become invisible, but he wanted to defeat his opponent in the area they excelled at, thus increasing his momentum. Yi Tian, now in a state of spatial invisibility, used his insightful eye talent to detect Prince Si Hun's whereabouts and immediately executed the super god-level palm technique, the zoomy palm, hitting Prince Si Hun across the space. Boom! Prince Si Hun was thrown out of the void, severely wounded. Just then, Yi Tian's saber slashed down, directly annihilating Prince Si Hun. Prince Si Hun has been defeated. All the princes present were astonished. Prince Si Hun was a second-tier peak child of the universe, yet he was defeated so swiftly. The gap in strength was enormous. Prince of 10,000 Laws must be a first-tier peak child of the universe. Perhaps only Prince Holy Heaven has a chance to defeat him. One of the princes lamented. Prince Feng Long, you try testing Prince of 10,000 Laws' strength. Prince Holy Heaven transmitted a message to Prince Feng Long. Prince Feng Long nodded. His strength was slightly stronger than that of Prince Si Hun, and he had formidable defensive abilities, unlike Prince Si Hun who specialized in assassination techniques and could easily be targeted and defeated. Whoosh! Prince Feng Long entered the fray. He was a master of wind attribute divine abilities and immediately activated a defensive wind attribute divine ability upon entering, followed by a top-tier offensive wind attribute divine ability, wind dragon divine ability. Boom! A massive wind dragon spanning thousands of miles charged at Yi Tian. Like a real wind dragon, its terrifying claws aiming to shatter the heavens and the earth. Slash! Yi Tian executed the perfected supreme-level saber technique, Heartless God Saber technique, shattering the wind dragon divine ability and heading straight for Prince Feng Long. The saber cut through all of Prince Feng Long's defenses, but he possessed a god-level healing talent and a life talent, allowing him to withstand the damage. A perfected supreme-level saber technique is indeed incredibly powerful. Prince Feng Long had to admit. Whoosh! Yi Tian teleported over, moving too quickly. Prince Feng Long merged with the wind laws, attempting to dodge Yi Tian's attack. But the ghostly saber still slashed through the wind laws, cutting Prince Feng Long in two. Despite having numerous life-saving techniques, Prince Feng Long ultimately lost under the relentless saber attacks. After Prince Feng Long's defeat, he re-entered the phantom world and stood beside Prince Holy Heaven. Prince Holy Heaven, I couldn't probe Prince of 10,000 Laws' strength. He's very strong, definitely not weaker than you. Prince Feng Long said with utmost solemnity. I'll continue to probe. After all, there's no loss in losing. Prince Wu Ying stepped forward and said. Prince Wu Ying entered the fray and battled Yi Tian. However, it didn't take long for Prince Wu Ying to be defeated. Then, Prince Yun Chong took his turn and was also quickly defeated. By this point, aside from Prince Holy Heaven, almost all the other powerful princes in the Supreme Hall of Humanity's Yellow Region had been defeated. Having defeated so many princes, Yi Tian's momentum had reached a pinnacle level, and his supreme saber heart was nearing perfection. His path to supreme strength was about to be formed. There's one more left. Yi Tian looked towards Prince Holy Heaven. Prince Holy Heaven was the most powerful prince in the Yellow Region before, and since the fall of the three eternal children of the universe, no one had been able to shake his position. Some even speculated that Prince Holy Heaven might achieve the strength of an eternal child of the universe at the emperor level in the future, making his name very prominent. Although Yi Tian was powerful, he couldn't be called the strongest in the Yellow Region unless he defeated Prince Holy Heaven. Prince of 10,000 Laws, let me be your final opponent. Prince Holy Heaven took a step forward, approaching Yi Tian, and said in a deep voice. Yi Tian had been waiting for this moment, and so had he. He could have been the first to challenge Yi Tian, but he chose not to. Instead, he waited for Yi Tian to gather his strongest momentum before challenging him. Although he wasn't pursuing the path of supreme strength, defeating Yi Tian would also bring his momentum to a peak, greatly benefiting his own path. Perhaps, he could take this opportunity to step out on his own path by leveraging this peak momentum. If he wins, he would surpass the peak in one fell swoop. If he loses, then he would merely lay low for a while, which wouldn't be too much of a loss. This battle was entirely beneficial for Prince Holy Heaven. In the vast battleground, the fight between Yi Tian and Prince Holy Heaven was about to begin, with all the princes watching closely. They were also curious to see who was stronger between Yi Tian and Prince Holy Heaven. Prince of 10,000 Laws, your talent is the strongest I've seen among the princes, even surpassing the growth rate of the former three eternal princes. However, you've joined the Supreme Hall of Humanity too recently, and it might be difficult for you to surpass me. If you had another few decades, perhaps I truly wouldn't be your match. While Prince Holy Heaven praised Yi Tian, he also insinuated that Yi Tian was inferior to him. Such words not only boosted his own momentum but also avoided offending Yi Tian. But Yi Tian didn't care about what Prince Holy Heaven said, he had only one thought. To defeat Prince Holy Heaven. Let's fight, Yi Tian said indifferently. All right, Prince Holy Heaven nodded. Boom, the two clashed. Saintly sword, fall. A colossal sword fell from the sky, sealing thousands of miles around. This strike was enough to severely injure any second-tier peak child of the universe, but Yi Tian faced the saintly sword with his spatial divine form divine ability, with just one hand. Immediately, space shattered, and the terrifying shockwave swept across thousands of miles. After the first exchange, Yi Tian and Prince Holy Heaven were evenly matched. Billion sword lights. With a wave of his hand, Prince Holy Heaven turned the giant sword into billions of sword lights, covering heaven and earth, blocking countless spaces. Even if Yi Tian entered the space, the sword lights could still penetrate through. This was a supreme-level sword technique that Prince Holy Heaven had cultivated to the perfected level. At this moment, Yi Tian executed another spatial divine ability, Thousand-Layer Realm. Boom! Layers of realms emerged, isolating the billion sword lights within thousands of layers, even isolating Yi Tian and Prince Holy Heaven within one of the realms. Thousand-Layer Realm Suppression, Spatial Confinement, Solidify. Heartless God Saber Technique, Slash. Yi Tian executed a series of techniques, attacking Prince Holy Heaven. Of course, Prince Holy Heaven had numerous defensive techniques, each countering Yi Tian's attacks. The two were evenly matched, making the surrounding princes watch with great interest. Suddenly, Prince Holy Heaven performed a series of hand seals, transforming into a giant figure with wings on his back, like a supremely holy deity. It's the saintly light scripture that Prince Holy Heaven has cultivated, a powerful scripture second only to the supreme scriptures. It's rumored that he has cultivated this scripture to the major realm, allowing him to use the saintly light divine body, drastically increasing his power. Prince Yun Chong exclaimed. The other princes watched intently as Prince Holy Heaven executed the saintly light divine body, signaling a critical moment in the battle. Chapter 476. The fourth layer of the Chaos Body Refining Technique. TL. Etude. With the activation of the Holy Light Divine Body, Prince Holy Heaven reached his limit in terms of aura. He unleashed nearly all the power of the Holy Light Scripture that he could muster, causing his combat strength to surge dramatically. It could be said that the scripture served not only as a method of cultivation but also as a technique for combat. Although the increase in combat power wasn't excessively dramatic, it was enough to turn the tide in crucial moments. At this moment, Prince Holy Heaven's combat power seemed to momentarily suppress Yi Tian. Holy Light Judgment, Prince Holy Heaven unleashed his strongest sword technique. Boom! The barriers of the 10,000 realms were shattered one by Prince Holy Heaven's Holy Light Judgment. Prince of 10,000 laws might not be able to withstand this, muttered Prince Si Hun. Then, at this moment, Yi Tian remained extremely calm. He fully activated the Chaos Body refining technique, unleashing the power of the Chaos Body. Rustle, strands of chaotic laws surrounded Yi Tian, seemingly crushing all other laws in their path. Heartless God Saber technique, break, gathering the power of chaos and unleashing it in a full-blown strike, the Heartless God Saber technique collided with the Holy Light Judgment in the sky. Endless radiance enveloped the sky, laws shattering inch by inch. Soon, the light dissipated, revealing the scene clearly. Yi Tian stood in the void, looking somewhat disheveled with some wounds, but these injuries were not severe and quickly healed. On the other hand, Prince Holy Heaven's armor was shattered, and his long sword was broken in half. It was clear to all the princes that Prince Holy Heaven had a gash on his chest, a wound created by the saber chi. I have lost, Prince Holy Heaven said helplessly. Although he still had the strength for another battle, his injuries were not light, whereas Yi Tian was relatively unharmed. Having played all his cards, he had almost no chance of turning the battle around. Continuing to fight Yi Tian would only lead to a more miserable defeat. Rather than that, it was better to admit defeat now, which would be slightly better for his dignity than being miserably defeated and forced to concede. You are strong, but unfortunately, the scripture you cultivated is average. Had you cultivated a supreme scripture, I would have definitely lost this battle. Yi Tian commented. Prince Holy Heaven sighed, how difficult it is to cultivate a supreme scripture, not everyone can cultivate one like you. If I had chosen a supreme scripture from the beginning, perhaps I wouldn't have achieved what I have today. I am completely convinced by my defeat in this battle. With Prince Holy Heaven admitting defeat, Yi Tian effectively swept through all the princes in the yellow region. No one dared to object, for Yi Tian had proven with his strength that he was the strongest prince in the yellow region. The era to come would be overshadowed by Yi Tian's fame. Does anyone else wish to challenge me? Yi Tian asked loudly. At this moment, there was no response. I am willing to acknowledge Prince of 10,000 Laws as the strongest child of the universe at the Emperor level among humanity, unmatched at his level, unparalleled in this era. Prince Holy Heaven said, bowing with his fists clasped. freewebnovel.com. Prince of 10,000 Laws, unmatched at his level, unparalleled in this era. Prince of 10,000 Laws, unmatched at his level, unparalleled in this era. Prince of 10,000 Laws, unmatched at his level, unparalleled in this era. One prince after another responded, shouting out. Boom! In the depths of the void, Yi Tian's path to ultimate strength finally broke through its bottleneck and truly took shape. And Yi Tian's ultimate saber heart was also perfected. Whoosh! Yi Tian's consciousness returned to his body, leaving the phantom world. At this moment, Yi Tian was immersed in the enlightenment of the Tao of the saber, and with the help of the consolidation of the Supreme Tao, he entered a state of sudden insight. The Saber Tao realm, which had reached 97%, began to progress at an unbelievable rate. 98% realm, 99% realm. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Tian's Tao realm reached a perfect 100%. Having reached 100% in the Saber Tao realm and fully integrated with the Saber Tao words within his soul, he released all the ultimate truths of the Saber Tao. Yi Tian absorbed these supreme truths of the Saber Tao and began to evolve the ultimate techniques of the Saber Tao through the countless saber techniques he had cultivated. As time passed, a year flew by in the blink of an eye. During this year, many princes visited Yi Tian, but all were stopped by Xia. Xia didn't want anyone to disturb Yi Tian. Although she wasn't clear about Yi Tian's state, she could tell from the aura emanating from the cultivation chamber that Yi Tian was in the midst of a breakthrough and naturally didn't want others to disturb him. On this day, Yi Tian's aura began to converge, and soon he returned to a state of simplicity, appearing ordinary at a glance. Yet, once unleashed, his power could shake the heavens and the earth. Suddenly, Yi Tian opened his eyes and murmured, I have finally deduced the ultimate technique of the Saber Tao. Yi Tian was extremely excited, but the cost was significant. The words of the saber Tao in the heavens had completely disappeared, having exhausted their essence to assist him in deducing the ultimate technique of the saber Tao. It could be said that Yi Tian's perception and luck were truly against the heavens. Had it been someone else, they really wouldn't have been able to create a saber Tao ultimate technique just from a single saber Tao heavenly text. However, although Yi Tian had created this saber Tao ultimate technique, it was only in its initial stages and had many flaws. Yi Tian named this saber Tao ultimate technique Heavenly Moon Saber. The name was derived from his own name and that of his wife, Empress Yu, combining the two. The Heavenly Moon Saber emphasized speed and strong attacks, far surpassing any supreme-level saber techniques. Even in its nascent stage, once Yi Tian wielded the Heavenly Moon Saber, he could easily inflict severe damage on someone like Prince Holy Heaven, a top-tier first-class child of the universe. Let's try to break through the 7th layer of the battle tower again. Yi Tian decided. On the 7th layer of the battle tower, Yi Tian once again encountered the eternal child of the universe from that day. As soon as the opponent appeared, he unleashed that ultimate sword technique against Yi Tian. That day, Yi Tian had almost no resistance against this sword Tao ultimate technique and was instantly killed with a single strike. Today, he had a sliver of confidence. Because he had also created a saber Tao ultimate technique. Facing an ultimate sword technique with an ultimate saber technique, even if his cultivation was inferior, he shouldn't be instantly killed with one strike, right? Heavenly Moon Saber. Yi Tian exerted all his strength in this one slash, meeting the sword Tao ultimate technique head-on. The clash of the saber and the sword seemed to break through space and time, colliding beyond the confines of space-time. The silent collision began. Thud, thud, thud. Yi Tian was sent flying thousands of miles, and the area where they had clashed was now filled with countless spatial rifts. He was injured, but he didn't die. In other words, Yi Tian had withstood the strike from that eternal child of the universe, successfully holding his ground. Suddenly, the eternal child of the universe attacked again, much faster than Yi Tian. Even instantaneous movement was hard to react to. After several exchanges, Yi Tian was severely injured multiple times. In an instant, Yi Tian couldn't maintain his physical body, which disintegrated. Defeated again, his consciousness returned, and Yi Tian began to ponder over this battle. The only reason for the gap in strength was cultivation. His physical strength was inferior, his yuan force was inferior, and naturally, there were gaps in speed and reaction time. As I suspected, I must fully comprehend the Saber Tao ultimate technique and cultivate the Chaos Body refining technique to the 4th level to truly possess the combat power of an eternal child of the universe. Otherwise, I can't reach the level of an eternal child of the universe. The eternal child of the universe I fought was just the weakest simulated version. Being overwhelmed by the weakest eternal child of the universe shows how far I am from reaching the level of an eternal child of the universe. Yi Tian murmured. In the following days, he planned to focus on cultivating the Chaos Body refining technique, relying on a lot of time and a massive amount of chaotic resources to advance the Chaos Body refining technique to the 4th level. Although the 4th level of the Chaos Body refining technique still belonged to the minor accomplishment realm, it was much stronger than the 3rd level. Once the Chaos Body refining technique reached the 4th level, his strength would surge, naturally entering the combat power level of an eternal child of the universe. Let's start cultivating. Day by day, Yi Tian devoted himself to arduous cultivation, letting Xia purchase more chaotic resources whenever they were about to run out. He had a lot of points, enough to sustain his cultivation for a long time. However, as time passed, Yi Tian's rate of consuming points increased. In the blink of an eye, 5 years passed. On this day, Yi Tian's points were almost exhausted, but his progress in the Chaos Body refining technique was also rapid. He had now reached the peak of the 3rd level, just one step away from breaking through to the 4th level. The breakthrough from the 3rd to the 4th level was just a minor one, not from minor to major accomplishment, so there was no need to rely on the Chaos Tower. However, the difficulty of breaking through to the 4th level of the Chaos Body refining technique was also extremely exaggerated, not so easy to achieve. Thus, he prepared to force a breakthrough. Before the breakthrough, Yi Tian activated all his talents, such as the Immortal Talent, Life Talent, Healing Talent, etc., and even consumed various healing spiritual medicines to begin forcefully breaking through to the 4th level of the Chaos Body refining technique. The breakthrough began. He consumed the last bit of chaotic resources in one go and started operating the Chaos Body refining technique at full strength. Boom! The Chaos Body refining technique operated at high speed, and Yi Tian repeatedly assaulted the bottleneck, pushing his body into an overloaded state. Crack, crack, crack. The sounds of fracturing echoed as Yi Tian's body cracked, but with the assistance of talents like the immortal talent, life talent, healing talent, etc., the wounds rapidly healed. Cracking, healing, cracking, and then healing again. Without these talents, Yi Tian wouldn't dare to forcefully attempt to break through to the 4th level of the chaos body refining technique, he would have likely failed long ago. After countless attempts and an unknown amount of time. Suddenly, Yi Tian felt a cracking sound from the depths of the universe, not from his body, but from the bottleneck. Seizing this opportunity, Yi Tian operated the chaos body refining technique with all his might. Break! Yi Tian roared inwardly. Boom! The chaos body refining technique broke through, completely entering the 4th level. With the breakthrough, Yi Tian's body surged with countless energies, repairing his physique and accelerating its transformation. At the same time, Yi Tian took out a large number of divine crystals and swallowed them all, using them as nourishment for his body's transformation. Half a month later, Yi Tian's realm had completely stabilized. At this moment, Yi Tian felt he had entered a completely new realm. I should have entered the combat power level of an eternal child of the universe, right? Yi Tian murmured. Tian equals heavenly, Yu equals moon. Chapter 477, Eternal Child of the Universe, Reward Bestowed by Humanity. TL. Etude. Yi Tian emerged from his seclusion and re-entered the Phantom World's battle tower. He was determined to challenge the 7th layer of the battle tower once again. Although he believed he had reached the power level of an eternal child of the universe, failing to conquer the 7th layer would mean he did not qualify as such. Upon entering the 7th layer of the battle tower, Yi Tian once again clashed with an eternal child of the universe. This time, Yi Tian was not at a disadvantage and even managed to suppress his opponent to some extent. Utilizing his spatial talents and divine abilities, and wielding the heavenly moon saber as his weapon, Yi Tian fought the eternal child of the universe in the 7th layer for a long time. Finally, Yi Tian inflicted severe injuries on his opponent without sustaining any significant injuries himself. Suddenly, the eternal child of the universe vanished, not defeated by Yi Tian but disappeared on its own. Could it be that I've passed? Yi Tian wondered. In a flash, Yi Tian was transported out of the 7th layer and informed that he had successfully passed it. In reality, the strength difference between two eternal children of the universe is usually minimal, making it difficult to kill each other. It's not impossible for a slightly weaker eternal child of the universe to be defeated by a marginally stronger one in the end. Therefore, the criterion for the 7th layer is to either suppress the eternal child of the universe or maintain an unbeaten status to be recognized as having the strength of an eternal child of the universe. Since Yi Tian not only suppressed his opponent but also inflicted severe injuries, it was natural that he passed the 7th layer. Upon passing, Yi Tian received 640 points. At this moment, Yi Tian was overjoyed. Suddenly, a bell toll resounded throughout the yellow region, heard by all the princes. The bell's sound was long and lingered for a while. At the Bai Bo Lake, within a cultivation tower, Prince Holy Heaven opened his eyes from his cultivation, showing a stunned expression. This is the eternal bell. There is an eternal bell in the yellow region, the location of which he did not know, but he was aware that whenever someone reached the strength of an eternal child of the universe, the eternal bell would automatically toll. The tolling of the bell signified celebration. Now that the eternal bell had tolled, it meant that a new eternal prince had emerged in the yellow region. It's him, Prince of 10,000 Laws, he has become an eternal prince. Prince Holy Heaven was astounded. The strength of an eternal child of the universe, which he had longed for and paid a great price for, was still far away from him. Yet, just a few years after their last battle, Yi Tian had far surpassed him, becoming an eternal prince. This rate of progress was unbelievable to him. Had he not fought Yi Tian himself, he might have assumed that Yi Tian had always been an eternal child of the universe. Truly defying the heavens, to be a contemporary of such a child of the universe is quite a blow. Prince Holy Heaven expressed his resignation. Recognizing the sound of the eternal bell wasn't limited to Prince Holy Heaven alone. Apart from the newly ascended princes, most of the other princes recognized it too. When the three eternal princes were still alive, many had witnessed the tolling of the eternal bell themselves. The tolling of the eternal bell, marking the birth of an eternal prince, was a grand occasion in the Supreme Hall of Humanity's Yellow Region. In the Hall of Enforcers, the Hall Enforcers also heard the eternal bell. The eternal bell in the yellow region has tolled, but who has reached the strength of an eternal child of the universe? While Lord Dantai was surprised, he also showed curiosity. At this time, one of the Hall Enforcers speculated, it might be Prince of 10,000 Laws. Currently, in the Yellow region, there are only 2 top-tier first-class children of the universe. Besides Prince of 10,000 Laws, only Prince Holy Heaven has a talent that might allow him to become an eternal prince, but certainly not now. But Prince of 10,000 Laws, who swept through all the princes a few years ago and consolidated the strongest momentum, truly comprehended his ultimate path, has the possibility of becoming an invincible child of the universe. The birth of an eternal child of the universe is a significant event. Let's all 6 of us go and see. Lord Dantai suggested. The other hall enforcers agreed and headed towards the Yellow region. In an instant, they arrived at the Yellow region and, after a brief investigation, learned who the new eternal child of the universe was. It is indeed the Prince of 10,000 Laws. Lord Dantai was not surprised. Let's report this up first. Once a prince becomes an eternal child of the universe, they are awarded a large amount of rewards. This time, even more rewards might be bestowed, especially since Prince of 10,000 Laws is currently our humanity's only eternal prince at the emperor level. Lord Dantai stated. Indeed, we must report this. The other hall enforcers nodded in agreement. The 6 hall enforcers reported Yi Tian's achievement of becoming an eternal child of the universe to the higher-ups. As for the rewards, that would be decided by those above. In just one day, the high-level officials of the Supreme Hall of Humanity bestowed the rewards. These rewards were distributed by the hall enforcers, as the true high-level officials of the Supreme Hall of Humanity would not appear in person. On this day, in the Yellow region by Bai Bo Lake, a thunderous sound erupted as a beam of golden light enveloped the region, bringing with it an immense pressure. Simultaneously, a voice announced, Prince of 10,000 Laws has achieved the strength of an eternal child of the universe, becoming the sole eternal prince in the Yellow region. The Supreme Hall of Humanity hereby bestows rewards. Eternal Prince, please come forward. The 6 enforcers appeared, standing at the other end of the golden light. This scene left the other 5 princes by Bai Bo Lake astonished, prompting them to emerge. This is the Supreme Hall of Humanity's accolade for an eternal prince. Prince Holy Heaven said, filled with envy. He had witnessed such a scene before, but that eternal prince had since fallen. I wonder how much the Supreme Hall of Humanity will reward the Prince of 10,000 Laws. Prince Holy Heaven was curious. Yi Tian emerged from his cultivation tower and saw the 6 divine beings. He respectfully greeted, I pay my respects to the 6 enforcers. The 6 enforcers walked along the golden path, quickly reaching Yi Tian. Meanwhile, more and more princes gathered around, drawn by the spectacle created by the 6 enforcers. The golden light, though covering only a portion of the area, was visible from afar, and the announcement had echoed throughout the Yellow region, making it difficult for the other princes to remain unaware. Lord Dantai, leading the group, presented a scroll that resembled an ancient imperial edict. The Prince of 10,000 Laws, the Supreme Hall of Humanity bestows upon you the following rewards. As an eternal prince, from this day forth, Prince of 10,000 Laws will have unrestricted access to all techniques and secrets within the Yellow region's inheritance pagoda, including the great divine abilities. Many secrets will also be open to the Prince of 10,000 Laws without restrictions. Second reward, 100 points are bestowed upon the Prince of 10,000 Laws. Third reward, an upper-grade defensive divine artifact is bestowed upon the Prince of 10,000 Laws for protection. Fourth reward, the Prince of 10,000 Laws is awarded 3 lifetimes of cultivation in the Reincarnation Hall to refine his mental state. Fifth reward, the Prince of 10,000 Laws is bestowed the position of a Pan-Star Field Enforcer, with the authority to oversee the Pan-Star Field and act on behalf of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, ranking just below the sovereign leaders of the Pan-Star Field. Sixth reward, 1 planetary system level guard and 10 great god level guards are bestowed upon the Prince of 10,000 Laws. Seventh reward, the heavenly Tao characters of wood and water are awarded to the Prince of 10,000 Laws, 1 each. freewebnovel.com. Eighth reward, the Prince of 10,000 Laws is granted 1 opportunity for a cosmic expansion. Ninth reward, 1 opportunity for a universal god to take action on the Prince of 10,000 Laws' behalf. The Prince of 10,000 Laws, these are the 9 major rewards bestowed by the Supreme Hall of Humanity, which will be delivered to you in the coming days. Lord Dantai said with a smile. He then handed the scroll to Yi Tian. Yi Tian glanced at it, finding the contents exactly as Lord Dantai had described. However, from a distance, Prince Holy Heaven and others were gaping in disbelief. These rewards are too generous. They had witnessed the Supreme Hall of Humanity rewarding an eternal prince before, but those rewards paled in comparison to this time. The previous rewards were only 7, and their value was not as great as this time. It must be because the Supreme Hall of Humanity lost 3 eternal children of the universe all at once, and now that a new one has emerged, they've increased the rewards. Prince Holy Heaven speculated. He was very envious of Yi Tian. If he had been the one to become an eternal child of the universe, all these rewards would have been his. Prince of 10,000 Laws, we shall take our leave now. Lord Dantai and the others departed. After the 6 enforcers left, the surrounding princes came forward to congratulate Yi Tian. Previously, when Yi Tian swept through the yellow region, they might have been somewhat resentful, but now they had no such feelings. How could they dare to resent an eternal prince? They were too busy showing respect. Yi Tian didn't pay much attention to these princes. Suddenly receiving so many rewards, he was somewhat overwhelmed and needed time to digest everything. Thus, Yi Tian excused himself from the princes and entered his cultivation tower. Master, now that you've become an eternal child of the universe, I, Zia, am also the steward of an eternal child of the universe, and my permissions have greatly increased. Zia was extremely excited, seemingly even more so than Yi Tian. Yi Tian also smiled excitedly, this time it's a huge gain. I didn't expect the Supreme Hall of Humanity to be so generous. The treatment of an eternal child of the universe is far beyond that of a peak child of the universe. If one could become a supreme child of the universe, what kind of treatment would that entail? Yi Tian wondered. Chapter 478, 3 Lifetimes. The day after Yi Tian was commended by the Supreme Hall of Humanity, a reward arrived. He received 100 points in his account. For Yi Tian, who had just exhausted his points, these 100 points were indeed very satisfying. With these points, he could continue his cultivation in the yellow region for a considerable time to come. However, the 100 points were just one of the more ordinary rewards among many. He was looking forward to the other rewards even more. Soon, the other rewards also arrived in succession. For example, his privileges were successfully upgraded, and the identity token he carried was replaced with one unique to the holders of the Eternal Prince title, one side of which was engraved with the architectural symbol of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, and the other with the word, Eternal. From then on, merely presenting this token would be enough to prove his identity. Of course, the real privilege was access to internal information in the yellow region. He could browse some secrets for free and was eligible to access most of the cultivation treasures without any cost. That was the greatest benefit of his upgraded privileges. Additionally, the appointment letter and token of the Pan-Star Field Regional Enforcer were also handed over to Yi Tian. From that day forward, he was the Regional Enforcer of the Pan-Star Field, with a status only second to a few Overlord-level leaders such as the Undying Legion leader. Even the galaxy-level powers of the 4 Overlord forces were not as high in rank as him. Of course, Yi Tian did not really believe he had surpassed those galaxy-level powers. Although the title of Regional Enforcer came with authority, others might not necessarily fawn over him. His position was high, but his strength was far behind. On the 3rd day, the reward of an upper-grade defensive divine artifact arrived. An upper-grade defensive divine artifact was extremely precious, and even many planetary system-level powerhouses might not possess one. It was probably out of concern for his safety that the Supreme Hall of Humanity bestowed upon him an upper-grade defensive divine artifact. Yi Tian was unable to fully refine the upper-grade defensive divine artifact, but as long as he refined it superficially, even if he could only mobilize a small part of its power, it would significantly increase his ability to protect himself. On the 5th day, one of the Hall Enforcers brought him 2 Heavenly Dao characters, namely the Wooden Heavenly Dao character and the Water Heavenly Dao character. With these 2 Heavenly Dao characters, Yi Tian now possessed the Metal Heavenly Dao character, the Wooden Heavenly Dao character, and the Water Heavenly Dao character, leaving only the Fire Heavenly Dao character and the Earth Heavenly Dao character. Once he gathered these 2, he would be able to cultivate the 5 elements' great divine ability. That day, 11 martial warriors came to the outside of Yi Tian's cultivation tower, bowing and saying, "We pay our respects to the Prince of 10,000 Laws." Whoa, Yi Tian came out and saw these 11 martial warriors. Among them, 10 were at the Great God level, and 1 at the planetary system level. He immediately knew the origins of these 11 martial warriors, who were likely the guards mentioned among the rewards. In the past, planetary system level powerhouses were beings he looked up to, and now such beings were serving as his guards. "Prince of 10,000 Laws, we are the guards arranged for your highness by the Supreme Hall of Humanity," said the planetary system level powerhouse. Through the copying of talents, Yi Tian knew the name of this planetary system level powerhouse to be Qian Chen, but the other's title was definitely not this, so he asked, "How should I address you?" "This subordinate is called True Monarch Jin Chen." said the planetary system-level powerhouse. Subsequently, the other 10 great god-level guards also reported their names one by one. In the following days, through chatting with these guards, Yi Tian learned about their origins. The origin world of humanity was a vast realm, encompassing not only the massive structure of the Supreme Hall of Humanity but also many cities and small continents. Among those cities were many martial warriors, including those above the god level. These warriors, due to their talents, could not become part of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, but they were still nurtured and controlled by it. A portion of them was specifically cultivated as divine warriors for the eternal princes and other powerful figures. For example, the current great god level and planetary system level guards were cultivated by the Supreme Hall of Humanity and now assigned to Yi Tian, serving as his guards. These guards had very clear backgrounds and were selected and tested in multiple layers, ensuring high loyalty and eliminating the possibility of betrayal. If there was even a slight problem, the Supreme Hall would not employ them. In fact, these guards were not very useful inside the Supreme Hall of Humanity, but once outside in the wider world, these great god level and planetary system level guards could offer protection and also serve as a show of status. Otherwise, it would be somewhat improper for an eternal prince of humanity to travel without any guards. My cultivation tower is quite spacious. You can each find a cultivation room on the second floor to practice in. If there's anything, I will arrange tasks for you, instructed Yi Tian. Yes, responded the 11 guards in unison. A few days later, a phantom spirit came to Yi Tian's cultivation tower. Prince of 10,000 Laws, the Supreme Hall of Humanity has sent me to take you into the reincarnation hall. The phantom spirit said. The 3 lifetimes of cultivation in the reincarnation hall was one of the rewards, but Yi Tian was quite unfamiliar with this reward, as was Xia. What exactly is the 3 lifetimes of cultivation in the reincarnation hall? Yi Tian curiously asked. The phantom spirit explained, the reincarnation hall is an incredibly important reincarnation-type origin artifact of the Supreme Hall of Humanity. It allows one to enter reincarnation for cultivation. Of course, it's not actual reincarnation but merely consciousness experiencing reincarnation. However, these 3 reincarnations are just like true reincarnations, where one's state of mind will be honed through the process. Thousands of years will pass in an instant, with each lifetime equivalent to a day. Prince of 10,000 Laws only needed to spend 3 days to undergo 3 lifetimes of experience, and upon completing these 3 lifetimes, he could return. By then, Prince of 10,000 Laws' state of mind would surely have greatly improved, and perhaps he might even elevate his state of mind to another level. So that's how it is. Yi Tian suddenly understood. In terms of state of mind, he indeed had a shortcoming. Although he had cultivated for a long time thanks to his time-related talent, he had always been in the midst of cultivation and rarely experienced trivial matters. His state of mind had improved through cultivation techniques, but it still had some flaws and was difficult to elevate further. There are 7 levels of state of mind, and he was currently at the 4th level. However, having the same state of mind as other ordinary princes was undoubtedly a shortcoming for an eternal child of the universe. Considering this, the Supreme Hall of Humanity rewarded him with 3 lifetimes of cultivation in the reincarnation hall. Lead the way, Yi Tian instructed the phantom spirit. After all, it was only 3 days' time, and it wouldn't delay his cultivation. In no time, Yi Tian arrived at the reincarnation hall. The reincarnation hall was a minor institution within the Supreme Hall of Humanity, not very influential, solely for the purpose of housing reincarnation treasures like the reincarnation mirror. Upon entering the reincarnation hall, Yi Tian saw a huge mirror. The phantom spirit couldn't enter the reincarnation mirror. A galaxy-level powerhouse came out and introduced to Yi Tian, Prince of 10,000 Laws, this mirror is the reincarnation mirror. Once the reincarnation mirror is activated, and you extend your consciousness into it, you will enter the reincarnation world created by the reincarnation mirror for transmigration cultivation. Every person has only one chance to use the reincarnation mirror in their lifetime, but it's the same for everyone, only able to experience 3 lifetimes. Understood. Yi Tian nodded. Immediately, several galaxy-level powerhouses appeared, jointly activating the reincarnation mirror. Boom! The reincarnation mirror released infinite brilliance, illuminating the entire reincarnation hall. A giant vortex appeared in the center of the reincarnation mirror, and at that moment, Yi Tian extended his consciousness into it. Instantly, a terrifying suction force pulled him in. In just a moment, Yi Tian lost consciousness, and his body fell into a deep sleep. Inside the reincarnation mirror, Yi Tian quickly went through the first lifetime, where he was just an ordinary village boy with mediocre talent. However, after enduring hard cultivation, he finally left the village, came to the outside world, and after countless trials and opportunities, he eventually reached the peak of this reincarnation world. In the end, as his life reached its limit, the first lifetime concluded. The second lifetime was a bit more unfortunate. In this life, he had great talent, but halfway through his cultivation, he fell during a battle and hastily ended his second lifetime. Then, the third lifetime began. In this life, Yi Tian was just an ordinary person, unable to cultivate, and merely lived the life of an ordinary person. The final scene was on a bed. Yi Tian's murky eyes looked around at his descendants and slowly closed, only to hear many people crying. Suddenly, countless memories surged, and his true self returned. I am Yi Tian, Prince of 10,000 Laws. Yi Tian opened his eyes, and the reincarnation world shattered. Boom! A supremely strong will burst forth. At that moment, Yi Tian returned. At this time, Yi Tian's strength had not improved, but his state of mind, after being honed through 3 lifetimes, was like a perfect gem. Among the 3 lifetimes, the last one, although merely as an ordinary person, experienced the sweetness and bitterness of a common life, which was even more precious than the first and second lifetimes. The life of an ordinary person seemed even more valuable than the countless years of trials a martial warrior might face. But to truly experience the life of an ordinary person is very difficult, even if one seals their cultivation and erases their memories, but some things are hard to change. However, the reincarnation mirror allowed Yi Tian to truly experience the life of an ordinary person, which was immensely valuable and would be of great use for his future cultivation. Prince of 10,000 Laws, it's time for you to leave the reincarnation hall. A voice descended. Thank you. Yi Tian turned and left, quickly departing the place under the guidance of the phantom spirit. After returning to the yellow region, Yi Tian prepared to start cultivating his state of mind. Chapter 479, Cosmic Expansion. Yi Tian prepared not the Great Sun Sutra as his mental state cultivation method. Although the Great Sun Sutra was indeed a decent new cultivation method, relying on it for mental state improvement was too slow. The Supreme Hall of Humanity had many mental state cultivation methods far superior to the Great Sun Sutra, and naturally, Yi Tian chose a better one. At present, the Heritage Treasury in the Yellow region was open to Yi Tian for free, allowing him to browse any divine abilities, secret techniques, or martial arts knowledge without spending a single point. After some searching, Yi Tian found a top-tier mental state cultivation method. The Dark Silence True Scripture. This Dark Silence True Scripture was much more advanced than the Great Sun Sutra, also divided into 6 levels, but it almost caused no damage to the soul. In contrast, with the Great Sun Sutra, if one was slightly careless in cultivation, it could damage the soul. Yi Tian started cultivating from the first level of the Dark Silence True Scripture. As soon as he began to cultivate the Dark Silence True Scripture, Yi Tian's consciousness arrived in a dark void. There was no sound, no light, nothing but emptiness all around. Such an environment was terrifyingly quiet, with an oppressive atmosphere enveloping Yi Tian. It was like locking a person in a dark room with no sound at all. It might be bearable at first, but over time, it would definitely lead to a breakdown. The environment Yi Tian was in now was like that feeling magnified countless times. If a martial warrior with a very weak mental state were here, they would break down instantly, unable to continue cultivating the Dark Silence True Scripture, and might never want to cultivate it again. Therefore, to cultivate the Dark Silence True Scripture, one had to endure the torment brought by the quiet, or else it was impossible to cultivate it to higher levels. Yi Tian's mental state had already reached the 4th level, making the first level of the Dark Silence True Scripture very simple for him. Before long, Yi Tian successfully cultivated the first level of the Dark Silence True Scripture and then started on the second level. Days passed, and Yi Tian had cultivated the Dark Silence True Scripture to the 3rd level. The 3rd level of the Dark Silence True Scripture corresponded to the 4th level of mental state. Yi Tian's current goal was to cultivate the Dark Silence True Scripture to the 4th level, thereby elevating his mental state to the 5th level. A strong mental state was necessary to control one's power, and many secret techniques required a certain mental state level. For example, Yi Tian's Heartless God Saber technique became faster and stronger with a stronger mental state. And with a strong mental state, Yi Tian could easily wield his Saber Dao ultimate technique, the Heavenly Moon Saber. Similarly, to cultivate a scripture to the perfected realm, a strong mental state was indispensable. Thus, mental state was extremely important. Those powerful eternal children of the universe all possessed a 5th level mental state. After undergoing the trials of the reincarnation mirror for 3 lifetimes, Yi Tian's mental state was very close to the 5th level. Cultivating the dark silence true scripture gradually progressed his mental state towards the 5th level. On this day, the Supreme Hall of Humanity awarded Yi Tian with the last reward, a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic expansion opportunity. As for the reward of summoning a universal god that could only be used when Yi Tian wished to summon one. Currently, Yi Tian had no need to summon a universal god, so that reward was not needed immediately. Thus, the cosmic expansion opportunity was the last reward. Yi Tian had always been unclear about what the cosmic expansion opportunity entailed, but he soon found out. One of the 6 hall enforcers, Lord Dantai, came to Yi Tian. Inside the cultivation tower, Yi Tian and Lord Dantai conversed. Prince of 10,000 Laws, I suppose you've been waiting for the cosmic expansion opportunity, Lord Dantai said with a smile. It's all right, Yi Tian replied with a slight smile, then curiously asked, Lord Dantai, what exactly is the cosmic expansion opportunity? Lord Dantai patiently explained, you should know that the universe is constantly expanding. For example, the pan-star field where you are from is on the edge of the universe, and within it, there are new galaxies. But for new galaxies to be born, the universe must expand to create some spare star space, otherwise, how could new galaxies emerge? In fact, every once in a while, after eons, the universe expands a bit. With each expansion, the universe slowly evolves into a large number of galaxies and gradually becomes a new star field. And for the universe to expand, it must occupy a bit of the chaotic region. Outside the universe is chaos, and we cannot enter chaos. But as the universe occupies areas of chaos, it brings some of the things from within the chaos into the universe. Therefore, each cosmic expansion signifies a chaos tide. Chaos tide. Yi Tian nodded in semi-understanding, continuing to listen to Lord Dantai's explanation. Lord Dantai continued, a chaos tide is like a tide stirred up by the influx of chaos chi into the universe, similar to the tides in the ocean. The chaos chi from within the chaos is extremely violent and terrifyingly powerful, far beyond any chaos chi you have absorbed before. The chaos tide is very dangerous, but it also presents an opportunity. When the first chaos tide surged, due to the obstruction of the universe, the materials it brought were not many, but they were extremely precious. Generally, the first chaos tide was somewhat dangerous for emperor-level individuals, but those 8 or 9-star heavenly prides could still barely enter the range of the chaos tide. However, only powerful god-level beings could withstand the second chaos tide, only true gods could withstand the third chaos tide, and only great gods could contend with the fourth chaos tide. Yi Tian listened carefully, gradually understanding what a tremendous opportunity the chaos tide was. It could be said that the Supreme Hall of Humanity had acquired so many chaotic resources mostly from the chaos tides. Otherwise, it would not be so easy to obtain chaotic resources within the universe. Once one enters the chaos tide, they can acquire numerous chaotic resources, making such an opportunity extremely precious. Lord Dantai said, the universe is vast, and naturally, the area of cosmic expansion is also vast. However, not all places outside our universe in the chaos have abundant resources. Many chaotic regions have nothing but chaos chi. Therefore, our human race's upper echelons deduce which areas will spew a large amount of chaotic resources and treasures, and then seal off these areas first. Then, they allocate quotas to enter the chaos tide, with each quota being extremely precious. Although the Supreme Hall of Humanity is the highest authority of the human race, there are many powerful forces within the human race, and these forces naturally have quotas to enter the chaos tide. Among them, the second, third, and fourth chaos tides carry more chaotic resources, so more quotas are allocated. The first chaos tide carries fewer resources, so fewer quotas are allocated. Some of the great powers of the human race will send 8 or 9-star heavenly prides into the chaos tide to collect or, to put it bluntly, plunder chaotic resources, leaving hardly any quotas left. The chaos tide is not an opportunity controlled by the Supreme Hall of Humanity, so the Supreme Hall of Humanity doesn't have many quotas. In the yellow region, you are the only one with a quota. No matter how many resources you obtain in the chaos tide, they all belong to you alone. Only one quota in the yellow region. Yi Tian immediately understood the preciousness of this quota. In the universe, although the prodigies of some top human forces are eligible to enter the chaos tide, most of the collected resources go to their forces, and they hardly get any resources for themselves. But all the resources he collects will belong to him alone, making this quota precious. Lord Dantai, when does the chaos tide start? Yi Tian asked. In 3 to 5 months, the exact time is uncertain, so you must go ahead of time. Lord Dantai said. This is the location of the chaos tide eruption. You can only look at it yourself and must not reveal it. Lord Dantai took out a map and handed it to Yi Tian. The map marked the location of the chaos tide eruption. He then gave Yi Tian a token. This token represented the quota. Otherwise, even if he arrived at the location of the chaos tide, he would be blocked and unable to enter the chaos tide. After explaining all this, Lord Dantai left. There's only 3 months left, I must leave now. Yi Tian murmured. Immediately, he called over Jin Chen True Monarch and others. Swoosh, Jin Chen True Monarch and 10 great god-level powerhouses arrived. Prince of 10,000 Laws, what are your orders? Jin Chen True Monarch asked. I am leaving the Supreme Hall of Humanity. You few will come with me. Yi Tian instructed. Yes, Jin Chen True Monarch and the others nodded. Yi Tian had nothing to pack, so he directly left the Supreme Hall of Humanity and the Origin Realm with Jin Chen True Monarch and others, entering Tianlin Giant City. Afterward, Yi Tian prepared to head to the Pan-Star Field via the teleportation gate in Tianlin Giant City. The Pan-Star Field was not within the usual route, but Yi Tian planned to make a trip back first, and there was enough time. In the Pan-Star Field, Hengpan Continent. In front of the teleportation gate. The Undying Legion guarding here was surprised to see the teleportation gate open again. It was known that the teleportation gate in the Pan-Star Field rarely had anyone coming through, like a forgotten teleportation gate. Last time, a prince teleported here, but who could it be this time? Boom! A group of figures emerged from the teleportation gate, notably 10 great god-level guardians. Then, Yi Tian and Jin Chen True Monarch walked out together. Prince of 10,000 Laws. A planetary system-level powerhouse guarding here was immediately astonished. Chapter 480. Earth's Troubles, Yi Tian's Return. The soldiers of the Undying Legion stationed here had mostly seen Yi Tian before, as he had traveled through this teleportation gate over a decade ago, leaving a strong impression on them. As of today, although Yi Tian was still at the Emperor level, his aura had grown much stronger than before. What was even more critical was the presence of some guards by Yi Tian's side. A planetary system-level powerhouse as a guard. The planetary system-level powerhouse stationed there was instantly dumbfounded. He was a planetary system-level powerhouse himself and felt that Jin Chen True Monarch's aura was much stronger than his, likely possessing much greater strength. Such planetary system-level powerhouses would be considered among the elites even in the Pan-Star Field, yet here they were, serving as Yi Tian's guards. The Prince of 10,000 Laws must hold a special status within the Supreme Hall of Humanity. The Undying Legion's planetary system-level powerhouse thought to himself. Yi Tian stepped out of the teleportation gate and did not stay, departing immediately. This planetary system-level powerhouse from the Undying Legion relayed the news to his superiors, and the information quickly reached the ears of the Undying Legion Lord. At the headquarters of the Undying Legion, the Undying Legion Lord was shocked upon receiving the news about Yi Tian. Prince of 10,000 Laws actually has a planetary system-level guard and 10 great god-level guards, how is this possible? The Undying Legion Lord was greatly surprised. Others might not be familiar with the Supreme Hall of Humanity, but he was. As a former prince of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, he was well aware of the situation in the Yellow region, where it was uncommon for princes to have guards. Prince of 10,000 Laws having planetary system-level guards, could it be that he? The Undying Legion Lord thought of a possibility. That was, the Prince of 10,000 Laws might have become an eternal child of the universe. But upon further thought, something seemed off. It was almost unrealistic for Prince of 10,000 Laws to become an eternal child of the universe in such a short period, especially since he had never seen such an exceptional prince before. Of course, there was another possibility that Prince of 10,000 Laws had hired a planetary system-level powerhouse and 10 great gods as his guards. Although costly, a prince could afford such an expense. I'll contact the Supreme Hall of Humanity and ask. He also held a position in the Supreme Hall of Humanity, albeit not a very high one. Yet, with his universal god strength, contacting an old friend in the inner hall of the Supreme Hall of Humanity was not a problem. Immediately, the Undying Legion Lord attempted to contact that old friend using a communication device. After a long while, a phantom figure suddenly descended upon the Pan-Star Field. This projection which only a universal god could master, capable of traversing numerous star fields. Of course, this required preparation. Undying Legion Lord, it's been a long time since you've contacted me, what brings you to me now? The universal god spoke with a smile. Lord Chongyun, I wanted to catch up and also inquire about a situation. The Undying Legion Lord asked. Oh, what do you want to ask about? Lord Chongyun was curious. The Prince of 10,000 Laws, do you know of this person? The Undying Legion Lord probed. The Prince of 10,000 Laws, so you're asking about him? If you had contacted me a month ago, I really wouldn't have known him. But now I do. Right, the Prince of 10,000 Laws is from the Pan-Star Field. Could it be that he's a prince you've cultivated? Lord Chongyun asked. He's not someone I cultivated, just from the Pan-Star Field. He just returned, so I wanted to ask you, how is he doing in the Yellow region? From your tone, he seems to be quite remarkable now. The Undying Legion Lord felt somewhat could his conjecture be true. Lord Chongyun was also very surprised, saying, Prince of 10,000 Laws is now an eternal level prince. I was also very shocked when I heard the news. His growth rate is too fast, and he's cultivating the most powerful supreme scripture in the Supreme Hall of Humanity, having already reached the minor achievement stage. Now, the high-ranking officials of the Supreme Hall of Humanity think very highly of the Prince of 10,000 Laws, and there are even rumors that a Supreme is paying attention to him. Moreover, he is now the Pan-Star Field's envoy, second only to you in status. His future is immeasurable. You should not deliberately offend him. Otherwise, you'll be at a disadvantage. Lord Chongyun, could it be that Prince of 10,000 Laws' cultivation talent is above the universal level? If it isn't above the universal level, even if his combat power is strong, he wouldn't be able to grow much, right? The Undying Legion Lord frowned. Lord Chongyun quickly said, Undying Legion Lord, you joined the Supreme Hall of Humanity at the God level, you know too little about the Supreme Hall of Humanity. To tell you the truth, as long as the Supreme Hall of Humanity pays a great price, even if Prince of 10,000 Laws' cultivation talent is low, they can forcibly raise it. Besides, there has never been an eternal level child of the universe with cultivation talent below the universal level. This is actually a secret that you didn't know. What? The Undying Legion Lord was astounded. Princes with cultivation talent below the universal level could not become eternal children of the universe. This secret was indeed unknown to him. In that case, Prince of 10,000 Laws' cultivation talent was above the universal level, and his achievements would at least reach universal God. An eternal universal God was terrifyingly powerful, easily capable of annihilating him in seconds. I absolutely cannot offend the Prince of 10,000 Laws. The Undying Legion Lord thought to himself. Then, the Undying Legion Lord and Lord Chongyun chatted for a long time, without bringing up Prince of 10,000 Laws, Yi Tian, again. In the Pan-Star Field, a cosmic spaceship was speeding through the starry sky. This spaceship, belonging to Yi Tian, was a 6-star level cosmic spaceship. However, after merging with the mid-grade spatial divine artifact Zilling Divine Shuttle, its speed and defensive capabilities were comparable to a 7-star level cosmic spaceship. Such a spaceship could traverse galaxies quickly, and it wouldn't be long before it reached the Milky Way. Prince of 10,000 Laws, where shall we head next? Jin Chen True Monarch inquired. Let's visit my hometown, the Milky Way, stay for a few days, and then leave. Yi Tian replied. In less than a day, Yi Tian returned to the Milky Way. Silver Universe Star, Qingfeng Giant City. Yi Tian returned here, to the place where he resided. He's not here. Yi Tian's cloning talent did not sense the presence of Empress Yu, she wasn't here. She must have returned to Earth. Yi Tian speculated. Although cultivating on the Silver Universe Star was beneficial, Empress Yu must have frequently returned to Earth during his absence. freewebnovel.com. Let's go to Earth. Yi Tian departed. Soon, they arrived at the solar system. The solar system was vastly different from the past. Many uninhabited planets had been transformed into small bases, and numerous spaceports had been constructed on Earth. However, when Yi Tian descended into the solar system, he immediately sensed a different atmosphere. Prince of 10,000 Laws, there seems to be some trouble on Earth. Jin Chen True Monarch said. Trouble? Yi Tian frowned. The solar system was his territory, and as a prince of the Supreme Hall of Humanity, even if the powers of the Milky Way weren't clear about what a prince was, the news should have spread throughout the entire Milky Way. Who in the Milky Way would dare offend a prince? Prince of 10,000 Laws, see for yourself. With a wave of Jin Chen True Monarch's hand, the scene on Earth was displayed. In the Kunlun mountain range on Earth, two groups were confronting each other. One of the groups was led by Empress Yu, while the other was entirely unfamiliar. Prince of 10,000 Laws, a great god-level powerhouse has appeared on Earth, and it seems he's not one of Earth's great gods. This great god has used a divine artifact to resist the world's power of Earth, indicating he's an external great god-level invader. Jin Chen, true monarch, explained. Enter Earth immediately. Yi Tian was furious. Earth was his. A mere great god daring to act so recklessly, directly invading Earth, and even causing conflicts with his wife and others, was courting death. In the Kunlun mountain range, Empress Yu, along with Earth's native gods and emperors, stood in confrontation with a small group. Leading them was a great god-level powerhouse, Great God Ghostflame, backed by 3 heavenly prides and dozens of 8 or 9-star emperors. Great God Ghostflame, as a great god-level powerhouse, it's quite inappropriate for you to barge into Earth like this. You should be aware of who owns the Earth and the solar system, Empress Yu stated coldly. Great God Ghostflame responded with a smile, of course I know, Earth belongs to the territory of the Child of the Universe, Yi Tian. The title of a Child of the Universe is indeed resounding, but he is merely an emperor-level being for now, who knows, he might fall any day. Moreover, I haven't violated any rules. With my status as a great god, what's wrong with wanting to enter Earth? I'm not asking for much, I just want this region of the Kunlun Mountains. If you're wise, you'll hand it over, or else don't blame me for being unkind. Do you dare to kill me? Empress Yu glared at him fiercely. You are the wife of the Child of the Universe, Yi Tian. I wouldn't dare kill you. However, if I wish to kill the other martial warriors of Earth, no one can hold me accountable. If you don't want the beings of Earth to perish, you'd better retreat obediently. Great God Ghostflame threatened. Empress Yu was furious. She had heard of Great God Ghostflame, ranked 13th among the great god-level powerhouses in the Milky Way, holding a very high status, backed by a top-tier power. Logically, such a prominent figure wouldn't come to Earth. Yet unexpectedly, a while ago, a beam of light appeared in the Kunlun Mountains, leaking traces of chaotic yuan qi. Somehow, this news reached Great God Ghostflame, who then arrived. Earth repelled gods above the god level, but it couldn't expel a top-tier great god. Great God Ghostflame, a top-tier great god, had forcibly intruded into Earth, clearly aiming to uncover the secrets of the Kunlun Mountains. However, what secrets the Kunlun Mountains held was unclear to her. She only knew that Great God Ghostflame had been scheming in the Kunlun Mountains for some time. Upon receiving the news, she hurried back, but the opponent didn't fear her husband Yi Tian's status and still intended to forcibly occupy the Kunlun Mountains. Suddenly, a voice descended. Who dares to speak of annihilating my Earth's humanity?